Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another game of the Champions Cup. This one between the Stormers and La Rochelle. Now that game may sound familiar, and that is because these two sides have already played each other throughout this Champions Cup competition. That is the way that it worked out, that a lot of the teams that faced each other in pool play are now facing off in the round of 16. The Stormers, they finished just a little bit ahead of La Rochelle, and that was mainly down to the fact that they won their last head-to-head outing. Leinster, they are playing up against Leicester a little bit later on, and fun fact, the winner of this contest goes head-to-head with the winner of that one. But there is some exciting rugby to come just around the corner for this Champions Cup, ladies and gents. Looking through at the Stormers, they are the home side for this game, just like the last time that these two sides played. It will be Brock Harris, Joseph Dweber, and Nedeling Fouché as the front row. Salman Moura alongside Ruben van Heerden in the locking duo. Then Dion Foree, Ben Jason Dixon, and Evan Ruiz there at number 8. Herschel Yankees and Mani Lebok as the 19 combo. Damien Willemse and Dan Duplessis in the midfield with Lillian Zas. Hudsonberg out on the right wing and Waraka Lant there at number 15. Now, there aren't a lot of weaknesses in this Stormers side, although with the stacked lineup that they've been going with recently, they have still not quite been putting together the performances that people have expected. We will show their previous results in a short moment, but their last game up against Ulster, some felt it was one of the worser games that they have played throughout the URC season, but the fact that this side, even when they were struggling, still got themselves the victory tells you a lot about the character of this outfit. Looking through at La Rochelle, few changes compared to what we saw in that last contest between them and the Stormers, although one thing that has stayed very similar is that stacked backline. As you can see, a lot of stars throughout that side. In the front row, it is Pinviern alongside Latu and Yui Antonio Delani at number 4 with Will Skelton, the big man, slotting in as the number 5. Number 6, Kansore. I think I've said that name absolutely awfully, but I can say Lavani Bottia, of course, the Fijian flair of that man at 7, with Gregory Aldrich slotting in as the number 8. Tawerko Barlow, the Kiwi, at number 9 with Hastoi as the 10. Dante and Suteni in the midfield. Lades back in South Africa playing this contest. Teddy Thomas out on the other wing, and Bryce Doolan there at number 15. When we look through at all the games for this round of 16 in the Champions Cup, this is the one that lit up my eyes. This is the one that we wanted to be able to cover on the channel. It's currently almost 3 a.m. New Zealand time, but we were not going to be missing this game, as it is going to be an outstanding one. We have got Robert in the chat. As said, hi all, and Hamish, welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well, and I hope you are once again excited for this contest, which is, of course, just around the corner. Looking through at the Stormers' previous results, as you can see there, they managed to pull off that win up against Ulster. 13 points to 7, nowhere near as comfortable as people did anticipate. But the Stormers, so many handling errors and so many ill-disciplined moments throughout that game meant that Ulster, up until the final moments of the game, were ahead with just the 7 points on the board. But then the Stormers getting themselves that last-minute try, that changed the game for them, and I have a big feeling that in this contest they will want to start quick up against La Rochelle, try and get 1 or 2 tries on the board early, a little bit similar to what we saw when the Bulls did just finish taking on Lyon. They can get that early lead, perhaps that will be just enough to take them into deep water while playing in South Africa. Their game before that was up against Edinburgh. They managed to get themselves to win 43 points to 21, and then a similar scoreline, except not in their favour, up against the Bulls, losing 22 points to 40. But for La Rochelle, they've been an interesting side. In the French top 14, we talk about it all the time. Home field advantage is absolutely massive. And that is the case here once more. As you can see, their 3 home games, they've had 3 wins. Bayonne, who are 10th at the moment, got themselves the win. But the interesting thing is they actually bet Lyon as well, Bayonne. So they're quite a good side when they are away from home, at home. But once again, when you're away from home, that is when these sides do struggle. Currently on the URC table, the Stormers have made their way up to 5th, sitting on the 39 points, but a big performance around the corner could see them make their way into the top 4. And then for La Rochelle, fun fact, they're sitting in 5th as well. This match is set up perfectly for the rematch, and I wish it was a little bit further down the line in the competition. The winner of this game will face the winner of Leinster versus Leicester, just taking place in only about 4 or so hours' time. We are just about ready to go. Just looking through quickly at what is to come for these two sides. One away game, one home game for La Rochelle, including one in 21 days up against Toulon. And then for the Stormers, they've got the Ospreys, currently find themselves within the top 8. And then they are taking on Leinster, which could be a little bit of a prelim of their matchup of the Champions Cup if they are able to make their way through. But I hope you guys are all excited. Last game for me, then off to bed. Good luck to both sides, says Johnny. I am the same. This will be the last game that we are covering of the channel today, ladies and gentlemen. But the good news is we have also got the Sevens tomorrow. We're covering the Blitz box, taking on the Fijians. Now, that is a game playing off the 5th place, but I can tell you right now, it's going to feel like a final when those two sides make their way out onto the field. When La Rochelle playing in the next top 15, says Connor. I mean, the next game is going to be in 2 weeks' time for the top 14. And thanks for today. I hope you get well soon. Hope your prediction is right, says Ilmar. And there's one. Of course, my prediction was that the Stormers, even though they come in as an underdog for this game, I believe they should be able to get the job done. It's quite an interesting matchup, though, between these two teams because of how close it was the last time that they played each other. There were some players who really stepped up. Marnie Libok getting that last-minute kick over for the Stormers to help secure their victory. He's going to need a big game here. And to be honest, I think he's capable of it. They've had a couple quiet games, the Stormers, over the last couple of weeks. Even in that game up against Edinburgh, in which they did win it by around that 25 points, they were still making a lot of mistakes. And if they can start honing in on their craft, they've got a brilliant team. There is no denying that. When you look through at this side, they can make an impact. And they can go far in this Champions Cup competition, but they have to get past the champions. La Rochelle, they have had 2 titles to their names. And this is going to be very interesting to see how they go here. But it is in South Africa. That is the one big thing in favour of the Stormers, qualifying higher up the rankings than we did see for La Rochelle. And that could just be the difference. You mate, a bloody legend, Kiwi lads. Ain't no flu stopping you, mate, says Johnny. Yeah, flu probably should have stopped me, to be fair. Like, rest is always the best thing to recover from being sick. But I wasn't going to miss this game. This is one of those ones that even when I first got symptoms of being sick, I was like, nah, we're not missing it. Now, I might pass out before the end of it, but we're still going to be here. Still going to be live, and La Rochelle might be the one French team who will bring their best team to an away cup in this game in this cup, says Fleshin. Exactly right. Them and Toulouse, I think, are relatively similar in regards that they seem to put the Champions Cup quite high up on their list, which is good because it honestly shows that they feel like it's a competition worth winning and a competition that they can win. And they've shown it before. I mean, Toulouse, they have got themselves a few Champions Cups as of late. La Rochelle, like even when these sides aren't winning the competition, they're getting far, getting through to those semi-finals and the finals. I think last year it was actually an all-French final, wasn't it? If I'm correct. Or was it? No, Leinster, I think, made it to the final, in fact. And Hamish, do you think future Hamish would be surprised if he's still commenting in 2034? Future, I mean, I don't honestly know where I'll be in 10 years' time. I hardly said that sentence while using any sort of letters, did I? But yeah, it's hard to say. Like, nothing's really certain in this life, is it? So you got to make sure you're making the most of every opportunity that you get at every moment. And I mean, that this game, I know that it's a weird thing to compare it to, but like, these are the type of games that you wait for a year and, you know, now it's here. So we're going to get to enjoy it. One moment, I'm about to sneeze though, so we will mute ourselves very quickly before the kick. But we are now ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, almost anyway. I think that we are just awaiting the sides to arrive onto the field, and then we will be ready to go. But do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you think will be also the first try scorer of this contest? For the Stormers, just showing you once again their lineup, I think Ivan Ruiz has a very good chance of crossing the try line. I think that Damien Valimza is another player I'm looking out for here. That was a nice little moment. I'm not sure who that was. I think that was actually Delaney. Gave a little bit of a shove to his opposite number there, Ruan Nokia. Just kind of gave him a push in the changing sheds. Nokia turned around looking very confused, as if he was just about to have to punch someone. But looks like it's played in good spirits. Maybe just a psychological battle at the moment for the Locks before the game gets underway. This is the starting lineup for La Rochelle. Jonathan Dante, his work in the breakdown, I think, is going to be so crucial for La Rochelle in this contest. Dylan Lades out on the wing with Teddy Thomas, and also Bryce Doolan at the back. This is one of those games I just want it to be like a 5-match series. I know that it can't be, but when you look at these two sides and the lineups for them, you just want to see them play more than twice in a season. Like, we've already been spoiled because we got to see them play earlier on in the Champions Cup competition, but we want to see it more. Hopefully next year we get to see them facing each other as well. But it is going to be Matthew Carley in charge of this one. Gets the handshake from Mani Lebok as we are just about ready, ladies and gentlemen, to get underway for this Champions Cup fixture between La Rochelle and the Stormers. And it will be the Stormers kicking off this one from left to right. A little bit of a shadow across Cape Town Stadium at the moment. Perhaps could play a bit of factor when searching for the ball. We are now ready to go. It's kicked off by Mani Lebok, and this game is now underway. Nicely taken by Bryce Doolan. Only 10 metres out from his line, looking for the touchline, but doesn't find it. And Damien Valimza straight away is going to run this ball back. I think La Rochelle, with such big bodies in their four-pack, if they don't get it right in terms of the use of their stamina, they could end up gassing out around that 70-minute, maybe 60-minute mark, and that is where the Stormers will look to capitalise. But Jose De Weber, big shot coming in on him by the number 6. A big run forward from Dan Duplessis. Mani Lebok goes across the Waterkaland, kicked him behind. It sits up there for Bryce Doolan, but he wasn't able to claim it cleanly. I think that's now, that looks like Jack Knoll. Yeah, it is. That makes more sense. I was like, originally when I saw that guy tap Ruan Nokia in the changing sheds, it didn't look like Delaney. But then it did look like Jack Knoll, but Jack Knoll, I didn't even realise he was playing. So now he's in the starting lineup rather than Teddy Thomas, according to the lineups. Now, Tuero Kerbarlo, going to be going back. Going to put this one high for La Rochelle, looking towards the touchline. Doesn't go out though. So now the Stormers have got themselves another counter-attacking opportunity. Nice step from Herschel Yankees. A little bit of wrestling going on the sideline at the moment between two of the players. I feel like this game is going to be played with a lot of intensity. That looked like a knock-on there against La Rochelle. Now Dan Duplessis goes on the outside to Hartzenberg, future Springbok, maybe in the mix. Flat run there from Nettling for Sham. They're going back for the original penalty in favour of the Stormers. Okay, they're going back for the penalty. It must not be for a knock-on. Second man was in, so that is why it is a penalty rather than just the knock-on there. They got the opportunity to put this one into touch if they want to, or they can go for the 3 points, give themselves a lead up against La Rochelle at the early stage. Do you have one time? Do you have one time? What do you mean one time, Connor? I'm very confused. And H says outlier. That is high, but it's missing the I in there as well. Yeah, just in the break. Oh, you tell you what. One of the La Rochelle players got punched on his head there, almost like a jackhammer. Looks like Mani Lebok is going to be lining up the 3 points, although they have got a man holding the kicking tee here. Pretty much tells us that there is a bit more wind at the stadium than maybe first anticipated from looking at it. Hamish has most times. Says, cool story, bro. But 3 minutes in now, Mani Lebok to give the early lead to the Stormers, which isn't exactly a bad start to the match. Of course, any points that are available early you want to take definitely in playoff rugby. We've got to remember this isn't just a game of the URC. This is a game that will determine if the Stormers get to move on, try and prove that they're one of the best sides in the European Champions Cup. And Stormers Yaulikading says Julian there. We are just seeing the replay again. So Dion Forey went down in through the side. I think was going to be the penalty. And Sourier, I think, was the man penalised for that one. That was probably one of the weaker ones. Are you doing the Munster match tomorrow? We are not, no. Now it's going to be kicked off. Nicely claimed there by the Stormers. Damien Williams, a flat pass out to Hudson-Berg, lined up low by Tawera Kurbalo. Be happy enough with the way that the Chiefs played in their game up against Moana Pacifica, getting a high-scoring game there for Super Rugby. Nokia now looking to fend through, dragged down by Jonathan Dante. Round the side of the breakdown from Ivan Ruiz. The tackle was called. Now Herschel Yankees back into the pocket. So Warwick-Hallant going to be looking for the touchline. I think it was partially touched by a La Rochelle player. I could be wrong there, but I thought he got a finger on it. Looks like La Rochelle now will have themselves the lineup. We've got a J in there from Outlaw as well. I think you keep on pressing your enter key too fast, Outlaw. You keep on cutting off your own sentence. Now 5 minutes into this contest at the moment. They have got themselves the line out. Now normally they would have Bugarit as their hooker, but instead for this game they have gone with Latu. That is due to Bugarit's injury. It's going to be nicely taken by Delaney. I'm looking to roll this one forward, although it's not making too many metres, so Tawera Kurbalo will once again look to go for this box kick in behind. He's got good distance, and it's a steep bounce of the rugby ball back across to Warwick-Hallant. Sold the dummy as if he was going with the line pass. Hudson-Berg, Tristan Lades almost had it. In fact, it was Dylan Lades, sorry. Tristan Lades, of course, from the 7 circuit. For the Blitzbox, they are going to be in action tomorrow up against the Fijians. We are also covering that one on the channel as well. But Hudson-Berg, just a little fingertip from Lades, ending up with that ball bouncing in their favour. It's going to be such a tricky game to be able to anticipate who is actually going to be the stronger of the two sides when it comes to their attack, because La Rochelle, they've got some massive forwards, and if they can get the ball in those forwards' hands, they'll make a lot of meters. But the Stormers, the elusiveness, Ivan Ruiz, Dion Forey, these guys are able to run down the wing as if they are a winger. And then you've got Diamani off the bench as well. The loose forward trio's going to be very entertaining to watch throughout this contest. And we talked about those pack weights in terms of La Rochelle having the advantage. 957 kgs for La Rochelle compared to the 903 of the Stormers, which is still a big forward pack. Just not quite as big as La Rochelle. Now Herschel Yankees gets told to hang on, not feed the ball in yet. Matthew Carley says that it's just a little bit loose at the moment at scrum time. We're not quite stable. Yui Antonio, of course, going head-to-head here with Brock Harris. That is a scrum battle and a half there. On the other side, you've got Penvern going up against Nedeline Fauché. It's going to be a great head-to-head at scrum time. First scrum is going to be in favour of the Stormers. That's gone down in the front row. Little bit of an early push there from Penvern. So it is going to be the penalty going the way, or I think it's a free kick, in fact, rather than the penalty. It looks like they are going to go for another scrum reset here. We saw quite a few scrums early on in the Bulls versus Lyon game, just as the side started to find their feet. Yeah, a little bit too much lean there, overextending for the loose head prop from La Rochelle. Already we find ourselves 8 minutes into this contest. Stormers, they'll be happy enough that they took that early 3. Gives them something to show for this little bit of momentum and little bit of position that they are getting for themselves. Herschel Yankees have to feed this ball in. Got Evan Ruiz as a great option to go off the straight back of the scrum. Short side could be on here. If they decide to back it, it's gone down in the front row again for La Rochelle. They've been told to use it though. Herschel Yankees goes across to Mani Libok. almost fumbled the ball, but manages to hang on to it now. ROCHELLE looking for a 50-22, but Doolan is back. He's inside of the 22, but doesn't find the touchline. So once again, the Stormers, their back three, can look to run this one for ROCHELLE, kicking it across field, still looking for a bit of territory. Hastoy getting a good kick in behind. Bouncing awkwardly for Mani Lebok, keeping this one low in the wind. Like I said, it's going to be an awkward kicking battle all throughout the 80 minutes. Jack Knoll puts a high, trying to chase after it. Him and Damien Williams have both got a little bit of Red Bull merchandise on them. Now Ivan Ruiz, but a spice in the midfield. He's been smashed there. But I don't know whether he was smashed on purpose or whether the La Rochelle player got in the wrong place. Herschel Yankees takes the quick tap. They've got themselves a new advantage for offside. Now Yankees cross now to Ruben van Geren. Little flick pass out the back door, beautifully done. And now chasing after this is Hudsonberg, but Lades does have the pace to put it down. And it will be the goal line dropout. Always good to get a couple of points on the board early. Says Stefan, exactly right. The more points you can get on the board, that first kind of 20 or so minutes, just puts that little bit more pressure on your opposition. Hamish, good to see you. I feel like the Champions Cup or Hong Kong Sevens should be subsidised. Should be subsidising your care this weekend. And that is the most American thing I could say. Says Gus. But yeah, I have a feeling I'll feel pretty rough tomorrow from staying up as long as we have. But that's the thing. Like, the rugby, when I saw this game was taking place, I was always going to be doing it, whether we were sick or not. It's just unfortunate with the timing of us getting sick. That's going to be the penalty now, this time to La Rochelle. Nicely won by Gregory Aldrit. Now Tawera Kerr-Barlow takes the quick tap of his own. It seems like they're trying to go like for like here. Nice kick in behind from Lavani Bortia. Chasing there is ROCHELLE, only 5 metres out from his own line. Hastoy trying to run across. Lillian Zas keeps it low. Gets it into touch about 38 metres out from their line. But La Rochelle win that kicking battle. I think that... Oh, they've gone quickly again, La Rochelle. Now, I like the tactic, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep this tactic up for the full game. That was close to a forward pass, and Yui Antonio has put the ball down anyway. Now Mani Lebok, they're even just going for the wide cut-out pass. Looks like it's going to be a difficult day at the office for these two sides here. The ball back available again. They're going back for the knock-on, and it will be a Stormers scrum feed in this one. And like I said, quick tacks, quick line-outs. I like the intent. Is it going to mean that both of these sides gas out sooner, though? Absolutely. Definitely with that big four-pack of La Rochelle. Like I mentioned, they have an extra 50 kgs to lug around out there on the field. And maybe at scrum time, that can be a little bit handy. But when it comes to having to carry those boys around, it's going to get difficult very quickly. Now, they have got a decent bench for La Rochelle. While we are at it, we might as well show you exactly who is coming off the bench for these two sides. They've got Tanga, who is one of the up-and-coming players for the French. Joel Scalafi also there. Levar Abodian did get himself quite a few minutes in the most recent Six Nations. And also Ihaya West, another New Zealander, will be coming off the bench for La Rochelle. Whereas Diamani, I think that he's going to add a real impact. Franz Malharba at scrum time is going to be massive. Ben Loader, Paul DeVette, the list goes on. But both sides going with that 6-2 split in this contest. Looking to keep that tempo flowing and try and outwork their opposition. It's not going to be easy to do. At the moment, Storm is doing well. 71% possession and also 74% territory for the first 11 minutes of this match. Show me the money. Let's go Stormers. Says Blues, Nate. Oh, Matthew Carley just given a warning to one of the Stormers players, saying he doesn't need his help when it comes to setting the scrum. And Yui Antonio also getting told to take a step back at scrum time. Having a bit of a laugh about it as well. They are playing in high spirits, although, of course, if this game gets a little bit down to the wire, a bit gritty, there might be a few pushing and shoving moments throughout the last 10 or so minutes. I think that's once again I think Penvien is really struggling. Go head to head here with Nettling for share. Does look like the smallest prop. In fact, he is. Now, I don't want to say nothing too bad, but he doesn't look like a prop. I'm going to look him up quickly. Louis how do you spell his name? Penvien. He doesn't look more than 120 kgs. 111. He probably weighs less than half of the Stormers forward pack. So no wonder he's struggling. He's up against Nettling for share. And just to put that into perspective, Nettling for share weighs, where's his weight? He's a big boy. Has he got a built-in weight somewhere? We're going to find him. And another pre-engaging penalty. The bio says where he's from. How much does the bloke weigh? He's 120k. That surprises me. So only a 9 kg advantage according to those stats. Now, I think that Nettling for share does have at least 15 on the other guy. A good kick towards the touchline from the Stormers. Now have got themselves a great opportunity. How's the weather in Cape? It's looking pretty nice. The sun is out, but the wind is the factor that is actually playing part throughout the early stages of this contest, making it very difficult to get those kicks right in terms of the judgment of distance. And even a wide cutout pass can be quite tricky to be able to nail. But now Joseph Weber go with this throw-in for the Stormers. Nicely taken by Ruben van Geer. And now Yankees with a short ball after Lillian Zas. Yankees again. Thought about the pop pass up there to Evan Ruiz, but decides against it here. The Stormers still in a good position on the field. Marty Lebok gets it back to Dan Duplessis. Breaks through the one tackle attempt on Junior Silteni. Now the pass on the outside. Great footwork from Hudson Bird to stay in the field of play, walking on the tightrope, and somehow keeps himself just within the touchline. Dion Forey now moves them to within 15 of the line. Another big carry from Nettling for share, but that'll be the penalty to La Rochelle. The clean out wasn't there. Skelton looks like he's crushing Dion Forey. I don't know whether he was doing it on purpose or not. He has, of course, got that size advantage over everyone on the field. Very, very strong win, says Julian Moses. And the furniture removal on the bench, Franz Malharba, says Nate. So yeah, that is one of the many great players the Stormers can go to later on in this fixture. That one's going to be kicked down bell from Hastoy. And the pesky Cape wind can really be irritating, says Stefan. Yeah, it's probably one of those days that they didn't want that wind, although saying that, it may put La Rochelle off their kicking game, which isn't a bad thing for the Stormers, because that will mean less kicking in behind, less 50-22 attempts from Bryce Doolin as well as Hastoy, which will then allow the Stormers to be able to run that ball more. So as annoying as it may seem for the Stormers, it may actually be in their benefit. Here comes Lavani Bortia running straight at Dion Forey, and Ben Jason Dixon does get stopped in his tracks. Now Hastoy puts the ball up high again, waiting for this one to come down. Beautifully taken by Warwick. Tries to get back up to his feet, but is wrestled down once more. Now across to the short side, Lillian Zas, tackled by Doolin. Defending out on the wing, looks like, oh no, he's back up to his feet, Silteni. I thought he was going to stay down. Which position do you think Damien is at his best at? I think that fly half is where, oh sorry, we're talking Damien Valimza. I was thinking you were talking Damien McKenzie. I think fullback for Damien Valimza. Oh yeah, gets it into touch just for Hastoy. But even just when the ball's been booted, you can see the rotations on the ball, making it tricky to be able to get that ball into touch here. Just showing all the flags, blustering in the breeze. A lot of people holding on to their hats tightly. Joseph Dweber to throw this ball in. I love the combination of Valimza at 15, Lebok at 10 though. I think that is something that has worked very well for the Box. And it works pretty decently for the Stormers. Now, of course, they've got Warwick, so it means that they still need Valimza somewhere. Normally, that does mean that he slots into 12. Kicked him behind from Herschel Yankees. And with the steep bounce, does end up going into touch. Gets a round of applause from the crowd. I don't believe it's a 50-22. It sounds like they've taken that one quickly. La Rochelle under a lot of pressure. That was knocked on the ground. I don't know why they're trying to take this so quickly. I feel like it's because they don't want to have to contend with the line out. But all they've done is now given Stormers a 7-metre scrum right in front of the stick. So this is about the worst position on the field that they could find themselves in. But Dylan Lade tried to take that one quickly, and it has massively backfired. La Rochelle now find themselves in a position that they certainly do not want to be in. Chance for them to be able to drive their way forward quite nicely. We'll go here. We'll go here as well. There we go. They're just talking about the pre-engagement. I feel like it's not long before this young number 1. Oh no, it's the translation they're actually saying that might be a bit of a problem. It looked like Yui Antonio was trying to give him diagrams and tell him what was going on in terms of what he was doing wrong. And it can be hard when you're an overseas player. Like, I know, of course, like, he should know roughly what the rules are, but it still makes it relatively tricky. But just out from the line, sold out Cape Town Stadium. Doesn't look like it, no, for this matchup, which is a shame because I feel like this is about as big as it gets for the Champions Cup outside of the URC. Like, this is a side that have won titles before, and the Stormers have got the opportunity to knock them out of a comp that they feel is one of their best assets. And now, back across, Yankees goes to Damien Valimza, dragged down 5 metres out from the line. They've got the penalty advantage again. This time, Jack Knoll was the player who wasn't able to roll out in time. Goes for the kick in behind there, Yankees. It's going to be forced down by Alatu. Right. Now the Stormers have a decision. Another 3 points is on offer here if they want it. Or do you instead go for the corner? Big decision. Playoff rugby, like I've mentioned, that is something that will be reiterated throughout this one. Do you go for the risk? And the answer for the Stormers is yes. They will kick this one for the corner. They will look to get the line out right, and they will look to get themselves on the scoring sheet with the 7 rather than the 3. And that is a very aggressive, but also very courageous approach for the Stormers. They are a side that do attack very well from 5 metres out. We've seen that throughout the URC. There is a reason they are sitting in 5th with the points differential of almost 100. Now, Joseph Dueba, the big thing here, though, will be can they get the line out throw straight? Dueba sometimes struggles to get it straight when there's no one, let alone when there is, but he's got that one bang on the money. And now looking to get this rolling ball going here for the Stormers. They're only 2 metres out. They've got the penalty advantage as well. Dragged down short. They might have an argument for a penalty try here. Side entry from the rolling ball. You have to ask the question, did that stop a probable try? And I honestly would almost say yes. Will Skelton, he's got an obsession with lying on Dion Foree. He's done it twice now. It's a bit strange. Every time, it seems to be just on Dion Foree. But 20 minutes in, are you doing the Toulouse versus Racing 92 match? Sadly, we are not, no. But I will be more than likely watching that game. It is just more of the factor of seeing as we are sick, and I've already probably done more live streams than I should have this weekend. We're going to do the 7s tomorrow, as it is during the day New Zealand time. But yeah, after that, I should probably try and get some rest and hopefully be better by next weekend. That is the goal. Whoops, I just bumped my keyboard, which is why it looked like I was shaking. Now nicely claimed by Ruben van Heeren. Once again, looking for this rolling maul. That one's gone down, though the ball is available at the back for these Stormers. Herschel Yankees goes across to Dan Duplessis. Couldn't get the pop pass up. Jonathan Dante, he's tackled him a little bit too high in the seatbelt by the looks of it. Ben Jason Dixon, yes, there is another penalty advantage in favour of the Stormers. Salah the dummy, our white Lilian Zas inside border, Dan Duplessis. They get within the 5 metres again, in through the middle of the breakdown. This has to be a yellow card, and it is to Will Skelton, who's still lying on, this time, Damien Valimza. I think Valimza was not happy because he was Will Skelton, he was begging to get carded here. He's been lying on Dion Foree all day, and then when jumping over the middle of the breakdown, just lay on Damien Valimza's ankle, which I know was why Damien Valimza was annoyed. They must take another 3, although now they've lost one of their main jumpers in the line-out La Rochelle, or at least I think they throw him up. Okay, they're going to take the penalty in front of the posts, and Salman Morat looks like he is now going to take on the 3. Now, that won't be the worst-case scenario here for La Rochelle, with the amount of repeat infringements that they have given just out from their goal line, but you still have to be extremely careful with the way that they are giving away penalties time after time. They give away 2 or 3 more, they could end up with another man going to the bin. Okay, we're just hearing there's a lot of noise coming from the scrums, they are saying. And they want that to be limited by the sounds of it. Damien Valimza now going to be lining up this kick. Sorry, he's going to be holding the tee and the ball so that Mani Libok can line up this kick and make the score at 6-0 in favour of the Stormers. La Rochelle, they are a side that occasionally do enjoy a 3-point kind of outing, 3 points here, 3 points there. That kick has gone over from Mani Libok. They're going to need some tries up against the Stormers, though. Although it does bring me back to last week's game. Ulster versus the Stormers. End score 13 points to 7. Ulster did have the lead for a majority of that game when the Stormers only had those 6 points, but in the end the Stormers got the job done. So if La Rochelle score next, it is not all done and dusted. We've still got a long way to go. And at this contest, Stormers, you can win, says Dion. Now, kicking off this one, it will be Hastoy. Getting ready to put some distance on this one. What other games you doing, mate, later on? Says Dennis. So the next game that we have got on the channel will be the matchup between Samoa and Argentina in the 7s. Damien Valimza just pretty much slapping Moura on the back to tell him to get out of that breakdown. And it's lucky he did, because straight afterwards, La Rochelle knocking the ball on. Warakalant backing himself to go down the wing, throws it back into Ulipano Sotini. Will now be the line-out throw for the Stormers. Now the Stormers can start engaging the running gears, says Stefan. And yeah, both of these sides have been going for quick throws. They've been going for quick taps throughout this contest. So I don't doubt that while Will Skelton's off the field, the Stormers will feel if they can up the tempo a little bit more, they can start to tire down on the rest of this La Rochelle forward pack, which, like I mentioned, has a 50 kg advantage. I'd say at least like 25 of those is just to Will Skelton. Ball is thrown in. Not straight from Joseph Dweba, but saying that when you go to the back of a line out in these windy conditions, it makes it extremely difficult. Ball just swirls around, changes direction in the air. Ball available now, though, for Tawir Kurbalo. Back across, everyone left it, including that man, Yui Antonio. Chipped him behind from Dan Duplessis. Sits up for Hastoy, who is tackled on the halfway line by Damien Valimza. Tawir Kurbalo. Back across to Lavani Bortia. That could be a penalty for not rolling away, and they do get the advantage now for La Rochelle. Although 50 metres out, I don't see them backing themselves to get a kick over from there. Going to the short side, Kurbalo, gap opened up, but Limza was in trouble as he was caught out of position, but it's knocked on there from Sutini, and they'll go back for another penalty. Hi guys, there's 1, 2, 3 MS, welcome in. Looks like Salman Morat's starting to struggle a little bit here. Did look like when he was trying to get out of that breakdown where Damien Valimza was slapping him on the back, giving a bit of a whacking. He did look like he was a bit slower getting back up to his feet, so I wonder whether or not maybe he was stuck in that breakdown because of an injury rather than because he was looking for the ball. But it looks like Dion Foree also nursing a bit of a knee injury at the moment. That may have come from earlier on when the big man, Will Skelton, decided he wanted to lie on him. That ball does go into touch for La Rochelle. Hi Hamish, I wish you get better. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. Thank you very much. But yeah, no matter what, no matter how sick we are, I was still going to be doing this game. And I mean, I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. I think you can already see my eyes are bloodshot. My throat's brutal. But we're not missing this one. This was one of those games that when you see that it's happening, you want to make sure you clear your schedule and you get to see it. And speaking of schedules that are not clear, we are also going to be covering the Sevens tomorrow. South Africa in action up against the Fijians in the 5th place playoff game. We got Samoa versus Argentina, the semi-finals between New Zealand and Australia and France and Ireland. Now rolling maul here, starting to set up for La Rochelle. Now they are missing, of course, Will Skelton, which takes away a lot of the oomph in this forward pack. They're being told to use it. Ball's a little bit scrappy because the finger's on it from Brock Harris. Hastoy, flat pass, goes to Jack Knoll. Is Clayton injured? I'm not sure what's happening with Clayton Blumikis. I think he's gone back to provincial rugby. But now, Ben Jason Dixon over the ball. Beautiful turnover from him. And now Labok goes back across to Dan Duplessis. Valimza boots it downfield. It was taken back. And once again, that bouncing ball not quite sitting the way that either time would like it to. Bryce Doolan tries to pin his ears back. Gets it away now to Dylan Lades. And something the Stormers have done well is not shut down, or have completely, shut down that wing of Dylan Lades because of his pace. Now back across, Junior Saltini in the midfield. Looking for the offload, it's gone backwards. Here comes Jonathan Nante, lined up by Joseph Dweba. He's not on the ball. So they cannot get the penalty there. Hastoy tries to cut out past Dylan Lades. There's just no pace on the ball when it goes out wide if it's a skip pass, because that ball just floats. It's like they've filled it with a little bit of helium alongside the air. Are you doing the right thing to stay hydrated? Says Stefan. Yeah, that will probably save me in the long run for my throat, but at the same time, anytime you see me have a drink, that is because I'm only one sentence away from choking because of how dry my throat is. So, I have to be very strategic. Nice run there from Mani Libok. Speaking of which, it would have been fun if Yerden trying to bust his way through. Now Yankees. Step from Damian Valimza. Beautiful inside ball to Salman Moura. One more to Herschel Yankees, and they will reap the rewards. The Stormers strike, and they get themselves their first try of the Champions Cup round of 16 playoff. Damian Valimza very happy with that one. So are the Cape Town locals. That man looks like Franz Malharba in a wig, but his wig was bright blue, and it was an afro. Crowd loving that one. Of course, the Stormers, they will be going head-to-head with either Leinster or Leicester in the next contest of this competition. If Leicester pull off the upset win over Leinster, it would be in South Africa. But, and there's a big but involved, if Leinster win, then the Stormers will be heading to the Aviva. So all the Stormers can do here is get themselves the win and then hope that they either get a home or away game, but either way they'll be through. Now, the Bulls can actually meet the Stormers. Earliest in the competition is the semi-final, and unfortunately there will not be two South African sides in a final, ladies and gentlemen, because one of them will knock the other side out if they both make it to the semi. And come on, the Stormers make two quick tries while having the extra man. Nice. Says 1-2-3 MS, but now lining up this kick will be Mani Libok. So one of the 2 minutes 20 remaining on this yellow card of Will Skelton. It's all about making the most of it here. That kick is successful from Mani Libok. Now making the score at 13 points to nil. Try time, let's go, says Blues. Now a good start for the Stormers. Hope they build on it, says Stefan. Yeah, the big thing here is going to be just keep that momentum going. You've already got them under pressure. 13 points down. La Rochelle aren't used to being in this position. In away games, yes, but not in a Champions Cup game. They are normally pretty close, and they like to keep those games relatively even, just like the last time they were in Cape Town. But already 30 minutes down, this game is absolutely flying by, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Ball's nicely taken by Damian Valimza, locked over the ball, and La Rochelle win themselves the penalty. Now, all that hard work down the other end from the Stormers is great, but if they can't defend this chance of La Rochelle, it would almost seem wasted. It does seem like La Rochelle are opting to kick this one for the corner again. Still have 1 minute remaining, and Leicester Tigers later, and a windy Dublin. says Luke Conway. And that windy condition could almost make those sides a little bit more even. You'd never quite know. Looking through at Leinster's lineup, though, they are stacked. Of course, for Leicester, Andre Pollard at the helm. Number 10 going head-to-head with this Leinster side. It looks like Hastoy is actually going to be taking on the 3 points here for La Rochelle. I think the reason they are doing so is because they want to take time off the yellow card. It looks like he's realised he's going to need someone to hold the ball on the tee. And that role is going to be for the prop. This is going to use up a long time here. They have to be careful not to use up too much time. Is this La Rochelle's first XV says 1, 2, 3 MS? Pretty much, yeah. I'd say a couple exceptions in the front row with the fact that they have got the youngster Pinvien as that number 1 and also Latu at 2. I think they'd rather have Boogerit, but due to injuries, they can't have that. So, yeah, I'd say that this is one of the strongest lineups. That's a shocker from Hastoy. I don't know why he thought kicking would be easier than it was, but that one's missed by about 15 metres and hardly at the distance either. I think he's just had that realisation we should have gone for the corner. Now, Will Skelton making his way onto the field, just having a little bit of a laugh there with the referee saying, sorry, mate. I think he's trying to suck up a little bit, trying not to get himself sent off again. Now, 8 minutes remaining in this first half. It will be the 22 dropout for the Stormers. This could literally go anywhere with the amount of wind that is around. If he kicks it high, she's going to be swirling. He's gone towards that far side of the field, using the wind to his advantage. Now Hastoy, boots are high. This is gone. This one's hit atmosphere. It's nicely taken by ROCHELLE though. Ball's there for Herschel Yankees to go across to Ruben van Jaren. Something that was so good about that Stormers try, though, was the way it was set up. Offload from Damien Valimza, then getting it to Moura, who had so much time and open space. The doctor is blowing. They're looking for a 50-22 there, and it's an awkward bouncing one for Mani Libok. He's cleaned it up. Wide cut out pass, massive shot from Lavani Botia on ROCHELLE. Jack Noel now claims it inside of the half of La Rochelle. We haven't seen too many of the kicks. How did he miss the kick? Says got it. Well, fun fact. If it's blowing a gale outside, go and try and throw like any type of slightly round object in the air and see whether it goes straight down, and that will give you your answer. Kicking in wind is bad enough. Kicking in a gale is near on impossible. We've got to remember the Stormers' kicks have been straight out in front with the wind in their favour. Second half, it's going to be a hard one for the Stormers as well. But the decision to take the kick, I think, was the bigger one. That was a mistake. They looked close to forward from Gregory Aldra, but he never actually got the ball away, so it couldn't count as the forward pass caught between the legs of Will Skelton. Ivan Ruiz looking for the turnover, doesn't get it. Now Yui Antonio goes back across to Doolan. Well covered there by the Stormers, committing plenty of men to that rush defence tactic to shut down this attack, and it's caused a knock on there from La Rochelle on the ground. It's going to now be the scrum feed for the Stormers, and it's once again that young loose head prop. He's not going to be a popular man at the end of this game, that is for sure. He's already had a couple penalties against him at scrum time. He's had a couple handling errors as well. Up against a established Stormers side, certainly feeling the pressure. Crowd doing the Mexican wave. I assume that's let's go La Rochelle. And there from Connor. The cheerleaders are well and truly going for it. If they chuck their pom-poms up in the air, I think that they will disappear. The pom-poms, not the cheerleaders. Kicks for touch are also tricky in the wind like this. There's Gus, that is true. And to be honest, from where they were on the field, maybe even a scrum would have been a decent option. But then the fact that they didn't have Will Skelton, I think, was the one thing that stopped them from taking that scrum. And speaking of scrums, we've got one now. Herschel Yankees about to feed this ball in for the Stormers. It looks like a decent crowd here for this game. Maybe not quite a sellout, but still a lot in attendance. We're going to get to see it maybe later on with the exact number. Looks like it's going to be another scrum reset. Brock Harris looking a bit startled there. Do we have people from La Rochelle fans in the chat? Says Connor. We used to have quite a few La Rochelle supporters popping in on these Champions Cup live streams. The slight problem is it's so long in between games. Like the last round that we had was in December. or it may have been actually January, sorry. So, that's a long time for them to wait for their side to be in action again. So it's understandable that they do end up disappearing. Only South African fan says 123 MS. Trying to stay up here at scrum time. That sounded like a grunt there for La Rochelle, but they might, or not quite. Thought they were going to get themselves the turnover there. Lavani Botia over the ball. Gets the turnover there for La Rochelle. Again, they've got the penalty advantage for not releasing. Now back across. So dangerous in a breakdown, Lavani Botia. One of the best around at getting those turnovers. Hastoy with the inside ball there to Bryce Doolan. Gets crushed by Nedeling Fouché. He felt all of that 120 kgs coming down on his back there. Another advantage. Going the way of La Rochelle. Short ball to Skelton. Offloads it nicely. To Gregory Aldred. Throws the ball on the outside. It was forward. So we'll now go back for the original penalty. Come on. La Rochelle, says Connor. 4 minutes remain in this first half. They've still got time to be able to strike. I don't recommend them taking the 3 points here again, though, because they still need tries. And yes, it may be easier scoring tries down the other end of the field with the wind slightly more in your favour. But look at that. Lavani Abortia keeps his head low, locks the two hands over the ball. They just weren't able to stop at altitude. I can't lose Stormers cash in, says Bhavani there. Ball is now going to be kicked into touch. Line out from about 15 metres from the line. Even Lavani Botia's scrum cap. You can see the part that ties it up is just blustering in the breeze. Even the cameras in the coaching box are shaking at the moment. Not from the frustration of the coaches, of course, but from the windy conditions. Gareth Ferguson is at the Cape Town name for this wind, says Fleshen. Oh, Blue's been warned twice there now by Matthew Carley for closing the gap at line-out time. I don't think they'll get too many more warnings than just the two. And once again, they've closed that gap pretty much instantly after Matthew Carley said not to. Ball's not claimed cleanly, but it is knocked back onto the side of La Rochelle. Now to where occur Barlow. 22 metres out from the line here. Great pickup from Gregory Aldred. Tries to slip his way through. I see that Diamani's on the field. I believe that is for the injury of Dion Forri. Straight in off his feet, I believe, was Ifan Ruiz. The penalty does not go his way. If the Stormers don't get another try, I think they will lose. La Rochelle are better at scoring. They are more clinical and will have the wind advantage. Says 1-2-3 MS. Well, Skelton now trying to break around the side. Getting help forward by Jonathan Dante. That is a lot of land mass and man mass. Charging towards the Stormers. 10 metres out. I think Diamani stripped that one. Yes, he has. Brilliantly done by the reserve. Now Herschel Yankees puts it back into the pocket to Warakalant. Doesn't look for the touchline. Bryce Doolan. Oh, he's been crushed by his teammate there. Luckily for him, though, it was Jack Knoll rather than one of the big boys. Now, Ponvier again. I want to get a few good carries under his belt. That looked a little bit awkward there for Kansorier. Out to where occur Barlow. Back in behind to Jack Knoll. Puts the ball on the outside to Ulapano Junior Saltini. Moving to 25 metres out. Good phase play from La Rochelle. Perhaps the most that they've been able to put together throughout this game. And lines to later the big price. Says Bhavani. Loose ball again. And it's a knock on from La Rochelle. So that was probably their last significant chance of the half. They could go into halftime with a 0 next to their name. Whereas the Stormers at the moment, they have got themselves the 13 points. And they will look to keep on developing that score. Build a bigger total. Dion Forri's down again. Which I think actually means that Diamani's on the field for Ben Jason Dixon, I believe. 13 appearances in his Champions Cup career for Dion Forri. Interesting. So Dion Forri There are medics running all around the field, so they are going to try and take him from the field by the looks of it. Doesn't look too good, though, for Fori, and that is a massive hit for the Stormers. Like, I know he hasn't been playing too much recently, but he's still such a player that you want to have there. Trying 2 penalties, says Anthony Walsh. Exactly right. And India, says Frederick. And there we're just seeing it here. Yeah, he's just tried to make a tackle there, Dion Fori, and just twisted awkwardly in the tackle attempt of Junior Saltini. We have got their Stormers should win this, says Outlaw. They should, but will they? That is the bigger question. Of course, the TAB at the start of the game actually had them as underdogs heading into this contest. They felt like La Rochelle would be the side to get the win. Now La Rochelle are actually $5.50 underdogs, so the odds have drastically changed throughout this first half. Looks like Marcel Tennyson has made his way onto the field. That is for Dion Fori and Ben Jason Dixon already coming off for Diamani. So 2 changes made by the Stormers before half-time in that 4-pack. That could end up hurting them a little bit later on in the game when more players are starting to get tired. Or was that Dion Fori with the green whistle? Now, I don't want to speculate, but that could be very similar to the injury that we saw at Cam Roigard for the Hurricanes. He ended up getting that knee twisted the wrong way. He's out for 6+ months. So to lose him, there's a look of concern on the coach's face. But yeah, he's got that green whistle, so more than likely they'll try and pop that leg back in if it is something to do with that. But they'll get him x-rays, they'll work out what the dealing is and what the damage is. But I honestly think if it's similar to Roigard, his July internationals are no longer in question, and the November internationals as well as the Rugby Championship will now be a question mark too. Not perfect, but the ball came out. See the referee there for that last scrum, but we have still got one more scrum before the end of this first half, ladies and gentlemen. Possession currently sits 50-50. Territory just a little bit more in favour of La Rochelle. I should mention we time travelled here in New Zealand as well, ladies and gentlemen. That is not me being on any sort of drugs. It is the case. It was 3 a.m. before, then we went back an hour. So we've had our daylight saving, which just means it's going to get dark earlier now, which is a bit sad. It's going to be kicked downfield. And that one goes into touch. Lillian Zuss might have a knee injury here too. The Stormers are dropping like flies. Which is the last thing that they want going into the second half. A miserable weather right here in Cape Town. In South Africa. Says, cool story, bro. And said, I like Dion. What a shame. Yeah, massive hit. Like, don't get me wrong. They've got Nabakaba. They've got Ben Jason Dixon, who also has gone off for some sort of injury. They've got Dion Fori. Not Dion Fori. Eva Russ. They've got Diamani, the list goes on, a great loose forwards at the Stormers, but not having Dion Fori, I think, is really going to hurt them later on in the season, just for his turnover ability. And now running forward, it's going to be Gregory Aldrit. Where Kerbalo trying to milk the penalty. Referee says you're not in the top 14 now, mate. Back into the pocket. They'll kick it into touch for La Rochelle, and they will go into halftime 13-0 in favour of the home side. Ronan O'Gara will be shouting the odds in the dressing room, says Jimbo. Yeah, not the first half that La Rochelle would have been after. Definitely not on away soil. If this was at home, you'd still give them a decent shot, but this game is going to be tough now for them to be able to fire back from where they are here. But they have won Champions Cups before. They have shown that they can get through adversity. Just how much adversity can they get through? Because this is a lot. But some of the stats to do with this first half: 262 metres made by the Stormers compared to the 137 that was made by La Rochelle. 5 clean breaks compared to the 2 of La Rochelle. More defenders beaten by the away side, 9 compared to the 8 of the Stormers. Says we've seen no offloads, but I don't think it's been counting them. Possessions 50-50. Territory just a little bit in favour of La Rochelle. So in some of the statistics, they're not a mile off, but on the scoreboard, they are sitting 13 points to 0 down. 45 tackles made by La Rochelle with a tackle completion rate of 85%, which is actually higher than the Stormers, who sit with 38 tackles made with an 81% tackle rate. We've seen 27 kicks throughout this half, and that's probably a little bit understandable, seeing as we have seen a little bit of the breeze playing factor and the penalty count, 1 in favour of the La Rochelle side, 6 penalties against them, 5 against the Stormers, but the 1 yellow card of Will Skelton is where it started going wrong. That is where we saw the try for the Stormers, and also we saw an extra 3 points being added on as well. But looking through at what is upcoming for these two sides, not just in the second half, of course, but also in general for their next few weeks. For the Stormers, they have got a game up against the Ospreys that has taken place in 14 days. So they are currently swapping with the sides that the Bulls are playing per se, because the Bulls actually play the Ospreys in 21 days, I believe it is. Then they've got their game up against Leinster. Now, if the Stormers win this game and Leinster win their game up against Leicester, that game is going to be a rematch of what we see in the Champions Cup quarter-final. The only difference will be it would be a home game for Leinster rather than an away one. But for La Rochelle, they've got Castres as well as Toulon as their next two contests that are coming just around the corner. So there's plenty of action, but no matter what, everyone gets the week off next week to be able to recover from the Champions, and the Challenge Cup, of course, is also taking place at the moment, and then they get back into their respective competitions, where the Stormers find themselves sitting in 5th on the 39 points, 13 games played, 8 wins, 5 losses, whereas in the top 14, they're a little bit further through the competition. They have played 20 games, 10 and 10 for La Rochelle, but they still sit with that 5th place spot secured. One big win for them, though, back in the top 14, could get them up within that top 3 mark. But looking through at the benches for these two sides, Andre Hugo Fenta will be coming off the bench for the Stormers alongside Lyons and Franz Malharba, who I have to say is going to be such an impact player for the Stormers in this game. Audrey Smith at 19. Hakshiva Diamani has already made his way onto the field alongside Marcel Tennyson. That is due to the 2 injuries that we saw of Dion Fori, as well as Ben Jason Dixon. Paul DeVette and Ben Loader, the 2 reserves that the Stormers have opted for off the bench for the backs. La Rochelle, they've got a few decent options. Joel Scalavi, of course, Argentine international. Leval, as well as Bodian. 2 men did take part in their most recent Six Nations. Tung is a handy enough player. And then Ehire West, the New Zealander, going to be there at number 23. And Lubbock, best on show. Stormers back looking better so far. La Rochelle won that last few minutes, says Jimbo. And like you said, yes, they managed to win those last few minutes, but it's all about trying to convert those little wins into points. And I think that La Rochelle weren't able to do that throughout the first half. I think that the Stormers were a lot more clinical. And yes, they've only got themselves the 1 try so far, but they took their opportunities when the 3s were available. Hope they don't go to sleep in the second half, says Justin. It would be a massive shame for the Stormers. Definitely if La Rochelle, if they score right at the start of the second half, we've got to remember they will now have the wind in their favour, which is something that the Stormers had throughout that first half. They've lost that now for the second 40. That could be a massively beneficial win to have here for La Rochelle, because they like going for those kicks in behind, whether that's Bryce Doolan, whether that's going to be involving a few of those other men, Hastoy, Kerbalo as well. And New Zealand best clubs in the world. Says a news story, bro. Says cool story, bro. And Stormers need to score an early try in the second half for me to remain relaxed, says Justin. And yeah, if they aren't able to get that early try, that is when people start getting a bit more nervous. That is when the pressure of being able to close out this game becomes a little bit more evident. And sure, the Stormers were incredibly average last weekend. Also, we need more from Lubbock and Co in the back line, says Stefan. And I think that's something that's hurt Mani Lubbock throughout this game so far, is the fact that there is such a win. I know that sounds like an excuse, and some would say it is, but Mani Lubbock, at his very best, is throwing cutout passes, is doing cross kicks. But unfortunately, when it's blowing a gale, you can't really afford to take those risks. And I think that what they've done so well throughout that first half, the Stormers, is get that ball to the big forwards next to the breakdown, whether that is Salman Moura. I think that he's had a tremendous game so far, but just keeping that ball alive and being able to then look for that next pass to create the try-scoring opportunities like we saw for Herschel Youngkies in that first half. But do let me know, ladies and gents, who do you think will be the first try scorer in the second half? For me, I'm thinking along the lines of either Ivan Ruiz or I think Damien Valimza. Those two are the ones who I think have the best shot of being able to score nice and early on, although I wouldn't be surprised, and this is a bit of a bold call, but Salman Moura, if he continues in this game, he may even get himself a try. The big man, one moment, we are just about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute myself. And we are good. And Hutzenberg's a real good shout. Eldrit as well, says Jimbo, and surely the Stormers were incredibly... Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? But you're talking about that last week's game. It was, of course, up against Ulster. That have themselves the 7-6 lead right up until pretty much the final minutes of the game. And then that is when we saw the Stormers kick it into second gear, get themselves that last-minute try, and it drastically helped them in terms of getting themselves the win. And those points on the table will be absolutely crucial too. We've got to remember in the URC, it's extremely close at the moment. We are actually going to show it here as well. We'll go like this. Look at this URC table. Look at the fact that 11th place is on the same points, first of all, as 9th, but one win for 11th place theoretically can put them up to 5th. You can go up 6 positions in one game. Now, that is insane, first of all, and I feel like that is one of those situations that if you get it right and you manage to make the most of the opportunity, you know, you leapfrog a lot of other teams. What a Calant to score the first try. Says Monet Lagrange there. And Aldrit, said Jimbo there as well. But we are only maybe around 4 or 5 minutes away from the second half getting underway, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I mentioned, we are going to get to see the Stormers. If they win this game, they will go head-to-head with the winner of Leinster versus Leicester. Now, I didn't say the same team twice. They're just very similar in the names. But Leinster, they will have the home field advantage up against the Leicester Tigers, in which Andre Pollard will be there as the fly half. So an extremely intriguing game there. And then, of course, if Leinster win, it will be a home game for them. If Leicester manage to pull off the upset up against Leinster, the Stormers would have the home field advantage. Already we know that the Bulls have got themselves in a great position. They are currently sitting with a spot in the quarterfinals. We have to wait and see what the result is of the other game in the Champions Cup, though. In fact, what we're going to quickly do here is we're going to do a quick Google. We're going to find out what we can. We go like this, and we will go like that as well. So, at the moment, we have to wait for tomorrow night, Northampton versus Munster, as that will then determine where that Bulls game is taking place. And the Sharks went from bottom to 4th, from bottom with 1 win, or 4th bottom with 1 win, says Legend. Yeah, so, like, that's the thing. They've missed out on 2 bonus points as well recently, the Sharks, and I feel like that is something that has hurt them. And if they can look to be a little bit more aggressive in the near future, that might actually get them to where they need to be in terms of a chance of making the playoffs. Now, there aren't many games remaining, though, and I think that makes it extremely tricky to try and catch up with the rest of the team. And at what point would the Stormers play to lose if they were to win, though, or the win through? So the Stormers could play to lose in the final. That is the soonest that they can meet. Same with these other sides that I'm about to list. They can't face Racing 92 until theoretically the final. Exeter Chiefs, Bath, Harlequins, Bordeaux and Saracens. They are all the sides that they can't meet till the final of the Champions Cup if they make it that far. Whereas for them up against the Vodacom Bulls, they actually would meet in the semi-finals if both South African sides do find success throughout their quarter-final fixtures. So yeah, they both ended up on the same side of the draw, which is good in some ways, but also in other ways it is a bit of a shame. We would have loved to see a South African derby, although I would have to say there's a lot of European nations that would not want to see a South African derby for the Champions Cup final. Yeah, there's still a few games of the Champions Cup still to come this weekend. Leinster versus Leicester was one of the ones that I mentioned. Bordeaux versus Saracens will be kicking off in about an hour and a half. Then Northampton and Munster, as well as Toulouse and Racing 92. So at the end of this game, we would have had 4 games down. Currently, Bath are ahead of Exeter. So La Rochelle, Leinster, Bulls and Toulouse. Says Jimbo. No. La Rochelle on the same side of the draw as the Bulls. So Leinster, theoretically, Leinster, La Rochelle and the Bulls are all fighting for the same spot in the final. Whereas Toulouse are on the other side of the draw. They were top qualifier in the Champions Cup, which is why they were facing Racing 92. Par for the Stormers, says Jimbo. So for them, they would have to beat, of course, La Rochelle here. Then they would have to beat either the winner of Leinster versus Leicester. They'd have to take them down. And then they'd have to face the winner of the Bulls versus Munster or Northampton Saints. They would have to beat them to get through to the final. Hopefully that made sense. Of course, we will have the diagram coming up in the near future in terms of on those Champions Cup live streams. But we are just around the corner from the second half. Getting back underway, ladies and gentlemen. I would say less than 2 minutes away. I think that the concerning part here for the Stormers is the amount of injuries, though, that they have suffered in the early stages of this matchup. Andre Hugo Finta, he is going to be good to go off the bench, though. Lions, also Malherba. Definitely one to watch out for. Diamani and Tedison already making their way onto the field. And then for La Rochelle, Joel Scalevi, Laval, and Bodien Tanga as well. The 6-2 split for both of these sides with Ben Loader and Ehire West as the back cover for these two teams. The way that their table sat in the group, as you can see, the Stormers were on 14 points. La Rochelle were on 12, but their points differential was a lot stronger in their overall games. Stade Francais, they lost all 4 games, yet at the moment they're at the top of the top 14. So it's as if they decided that this competition wasn't their priority and instead they wanted to go for that top 14 title. They certainly deserve the trophy then, says Jimbo. Yeah, if they can get through all those challenges that I mentioned, more than likely it would be they have to beat Leinster, they have to beat probably the Vodacom Bulls, and then they have to beat Toulouse to get the title, or Harlequins, Bordeaux, Saracens. There's a lot of good sides still left in the competition, and of course we've got to remember after the quarterfinals, all the semi-finals are already allocated locations, which will not be a home field advantage for the South African sides. Now the benefit is they won't be a home field advantage to the Northern Hemisphere sides as well, but they'll be closer for the Northern Hemisphere than the Southern Hemisphere teams. Once again, do let me know, ladies and gents, who are your picks for try scorers in the second half. I'm going with Salman Morat, which could be a terrible choice, but I'm hoping I'm going to be correct. See whether or not we can get it right. It will be La Rochelle kicking off this one from left to right for the second half. 40 minutes now to determine who will make it to the quarterfinals. Now, the quarterfinals are miles away. It's like 2 months or something like that, or a month. It's a wee way to wait, but it's going to be kicked off now. Like they've just said, if there's a team in the competition that know how to fight back, it is La Rochelle, but straight away the Stormers running this one down the wing. Hello from Joburg, says Clive. Welcome in, mate. Hope you have been keeping well. Hope you're excited for the second 40 minutes of do or die rugby for these two teams. The ball's going to be available there for the Stormers. Looks like Herschel Yankees once again. Looks like he's just going to use his weight there for Will Skelton. Kicked up high. Oh, almost took a knock to the chin there for Salman Morat. Nicely taken by Bryce Doolan underneath the high ball. Atawera Kurbalo back across there to Will Skelton. Did spend 10 minutes in the bin, so should still be relatively fresh, seeing as he's played the least amount of rugby out of any player on the field for La Rochelle. Kurbalo once again told to use it, and I mentioned earlier on, they've got the wind in their advantage for this half. So that could be a massive difference maker. It's going to be swatted back, nicely cleaned up by the blind side flanker. Now, Botia goes across Hastoi. Short ball to Will Skelton. Gets the offload away to Yui Antonio, but it's gone straight in the hands of Evan Ruas. 40 metres out from their line there, the Stormers. Warwick kicking it straight up into the swirling breeze. It's going to be an awkward one there for Bryce Doolan in a foot race with Ben Loader. Doesn't look like he's winning it either, so he has to kick this one towards the touchline, and that is a brilliant kick from whereabouts he was. Ben Loader already showing some good pressure since making his way onto the field. Curious to know who he's actually on the field for. I believe it would be Lillian Zuss. I mentioned about that knee injury or something along those lines in the first half. I think that Hudsenberg is still out there. I believe that Loader is still out there. Well, he is now out there. Yep, we just heard it. Lillian Zuss came off the field with that injury, and Ben Loader now out there on the field. It's going to be thrown in now by Joseph Dweba. Nicely taken. Swatted back across for Diamani. Kicked him high from Mani Lebok. Two Stormers players tripping each other up. And Dan Duplessis and also Damien Valimza trying to run that same line. Warwick tackle well. I think Junior Saltini, no, they've given away the penalty originally. Wasn't back for Satololatu. Yeah, not retreating outside of a 10-metre radius. One of the rules that are in play. It's a little bit of a confusing one, but Latu has been penalised for accidental offside. He is disappointed about it there as well. Amani Libok is able to kick this ball into touch. It's a decent boot with the breeze that they are contesting with, so this will be about 20 metres out from the line. Right, so they're saying that Latu has to retreat there, but he didn't retreat enough. Or in fact, the commentator's now saying he was actually onside, so referee got that one wrong. May cost La Rochelle a try here. Now line out throw for Joseph Dweba. Looked like they were trying to close that gap a little bit, La Rochelle. I am about to sneeze. One moment, ladies and gents. I'm going to mute. We are all right. It was a very quick sneeze, that one. Got it out of the way. Back into it. Now big tackle made on Hudsenberg. Ball looks stuck in there. And I think Lavani Bortia was holding it in. The referee's seen it. And the penalty goes the way of the Stormers once more. They could take a 3 here. And that would give them a nice solid lead. Or they could go for the corner, try and look for the try, and I think that would be their better option. Or is it? No, they're going for the kick. The ref is right lazy. A hooker says Jimbo Lebok probably does not get enough credit for his line kick, says Stefan. He's a very good kicker of the ball. And that's why even in these windier conditions, I think he's going to be heavily relied on in terms of being able to make those extra meters for the Stormers in that territory battle. Take the 3, says Stefan. And finally, someone else can win it this time, says Nate Dog. And also go Gallant, says Julian there. One moment, I am about to sneeze one more time. And we are good. Now Mani Libok, 45 minutes in to take the 3. So still having the ball held on the tee by Damien Valimza. This is a much easier kick though than the La Rochelle one in the first half, and that is going over. And that will now make the score 16 points to 0 in favour of the Stormers. This one's getting too one-sided for La Rochelle's liking, I would think. And unless they are able to fire back soon, the scoreline could start to get a little bit more ugly. Last time that these two sides played, they were split by less than 5. And this one, they could be split by 20. Going to be kicked into touch by Damien Valimza, bye-bye Ronan. Says a Jimbo there. Well, they are still ranked 5th in the top 14, so we've got to remember they're still putting together some good results overall, La Rochelle. I think what's really hurt them in this game is their up front. Latu hasn't quite been the best, and also the young number 1. It's probably a bit of a risk to play him in this one, but I believe the other option was injured. Nice short ball to Olapano Junior Saltini. Now back across to Latu, driven backwards by Diamani. Now Kerbalo goes across to Will Skelton, who once again is met by a ball of muscle in Evan Ruiz. We're going to feed this ball back. Was Dylan Lades, looked a little bit loose, but they managed to keep it alive. Now sitting 20 metres inside of the halfway line. And also we have got there something from Flesh, and I'm not sure what that means. Probably bless you or something along those lines. Trying my best not to sneeze again. That is why I'm hiding. But that is an advantage now for La Rochelle. Offload from Skelton. Junior Saltini almost got it away. And bless you. Says Flesh, oh, there's a penalty here. Little bit of afters, bit of push and shove. It's always going to be expected in a game with tension filled up. They're going back for a play in the 9, and I am going to sneeze one more time. My apologies. Hay fever's kicking me in the head. Right, I believe we should be good now. Got them all out of the way. And the buck show us. Says Julian, that's a good kick from La Rochelle. They'll now be 10 metres out from the line. Noel nearly away there. Although, I think it was Ulapano Sultini carving up the middle. Will Skelton almost able to feed him that pass. A couple more changes. Joseph Weber making his way from the field. That is for Andre Hugo Fenter, who already has himself a cut up above his eye. And needling for share off the field for Franz Malharba. Not exactly a bad sub to have at this stage of the competition. When you need a second win from your forward pack, that's exactly what you're going to get from that man. But Latu throws it in. Nicely claimed there. Almost knocked on by La Rochelle as they get forced towards the touchline. They keep the ball alive. Now Gregory Aldrich trying to make those couple extra metres to Werker Barlow. Once again wins another penalty advantage for his side. The Stormers were offside there. And it could cost them. AFL has been tough all year round. For myself, I know the struggle. Says Aaron there. Yeah, it's been quite brutal this year. Like, I'm sick at the moment. Like, not from hay fever, but hay fever still gets me every single stream. Oh, little mistake there from Werker Barlow, but he doesn't lose hold of the ball. Still under penalty advantage. Kerbarlow goes off to Skelton. Inside ball to Latu. Gets his legs pumping. Oh, he's just crushed Marty Libok. He's playing real dirty here, Will Skelton. He was holding Libok on the ground as well. Try and take him out of an option. That's very close. 2 metres out, if not less. And now Tawera Kerbarlow. Analysing both options. Passing either way. They're over, are they? Or they want to check it for Matthew Carley. I think they're claiming it though, La Rochelle. On-field decision is try from Matthew Carley there. Yeah, once again, another cheap shot from Will Skelton. Seems like he's just throwing around literally his weight. Try and slightly injure some of the key players for the Stormers. Like Marty Libok, he was in no position to be able to clean out that breakdown. And then Will Skelton just decided to drop on him. We're going to see here, though, in the replay. This is a good angle to show us. That is on the line. And that will be the first try of the match for La Rochelle. And that is a big turning point in this contest. Of course, there is still plenty of time remaining. I think the referee just telling Salman Morat to go tell his team that there's too many penalty advantages in a row. But the penalty goes the way, or the penalty would have gone in the way of La Rochelle. But instead they didn't need it because they were able to get themselves the try. And it's actually the Lucia prop. Or is it? No, it's Yui Antonio. No, it wasn't Yui Antonio. It was the Lucia prop, the youngster, who has had a bit of a 50-50 game. Of course, he'll feel a lot better about getting that try on the board. It's using the muscle alongside, I think it was one of the big men, Delaney, who was there to help him over. Now lining up this kick. has gone over as well. So that now makes the score 16 points to 7. They're back in it. And Lucy getting bent in the scrum up against a try, says Jimbo. Yeah, it's one of those situations how, like, it's not good on one part, but it's good on the other. Getting that try, but of course not having the best day at scrum time. It's going to get worse as well if he's going head-to-head with Franz Malharba. I can guarantee you Franz will bend him right in half again. Now kick downfield, Bryce Doolan inside of the 22. It's the clear and kick away. It will be 40 metres out now with the Stormers in attack. And they want to get a try of their own here, or at least extend their lead, even if it is with 3 points. Just to keep that scoreboard ticking over. Keep building their momentum. Now, anyone wondering about the other game that is taking place at the moment of the Champions Cup? There's a matchup taking place between Exeter and Bath, and currently in that game it is 12 points to 7 in favour of Bath, who were the favourites going into that match. Now, Dan Duplessis tries to feed that ball back. Big run forward from Franz Malharba. Lavani Botia able to take him down at the kneecaps. Big shot coming in from Botia on Ruben van Heeren. And the ball bounces free for La Rochelle. They're trying to hold him up. It's called as a maul. So they'll go back for the original scrum feed for La Rochelle. There's still so much time left that this last maybe 28 minutes or so could feel like an eternity for these two sides. I am just looking at the result the last time that these two sides played. It was in round 3, I believe. No, in fact, was it round 4? No, it was round 2. My apologies. Of the competition. And it was 21 points to 20 in favour of the Stormers. So far we've seen 10 tackles missed by La Rochelle, 11 tackles missed by the Stormers, but they have made 6 extra tackles. And La Rochelle coming back into this game now. Says Rugby and what up, Hamish? Welcome in, mate. You are doing well. Yeah, 21 points to 20. There's a chance we get somewhere around that score line today as well. But it was the last minute try of Andre Hugo Fenta. They helped get them the lead. My son-in-law will be happy as a Bath fan. Says Fleshin. Now to where Kerbalo sells the dummy. Gets it away to Bryce Doolan. Now Dante went for the pass on the outside. Not a clean pick up from Lades. Oh, there's a head clash there. Looks like straight away that's cut Ben Loader open on the eyebrow. I love the hoodie, Hamish. Pick up yourself from Ireland. Says Nate Dogg there. They're going back for an original penalty against the Stormers again. It's against Brock Harris. But yeah, Joel Scalavi actually received a 76-minute yellow card in that last game. La Rochelle getting a scrum penalty back that time with Yui, Antonio, and Nate D-O-double-G. Says a Rugby there. Ben Loader is such a good player. He is, although he might have cut his eyebrow open just then with the head clash between him and Dylan Lades. So both of them are going to continue in this matchup though. So half-time, the last time that these two sides played, La Rochelle were 13-6 up. Whereas in this game, it was 16-0 up for the Stormers. In fact, it might have been 13-0 up, my apologies. It's going to be nicely thrown in. La Rochelle looping around. The replacement hooker now. Driving straight. It was Jonathan Dante looking dizzy. Yeah, he didn't look too flash. Oh, Lades. Oh, Kawea Kerbalo milks the penalty, passes it into him. The crowd don't like it, but it's an effective way to get that penalty. Kerbalo back to Skelton. Now Hastoy look for the offload. Dula knocks it on. They'll go back for another penalty. Vodian is now on for La Rochelle. Says Rugby. Yeah, they made a couple more changes in that front row. Oh, another warning. Next one goes in the bin now. Is the comment. Morat just asking for some more discipline from his Stormers side. La Rochelle might take the 3 here, and that would put them within 7. I think they were just doing the maths, and yes, they will take on the 3 points. This one's going down to the wire. Unless, of course, the Stormers can get themselves 1 or 2 quick-fire tries would completely save them in this matchup. Rochelle taking over this game, says Rugby, but that kick is over. And we have got their crowd don't like it. Fuff was the king of it, says Jimbo, but the score now sits 16 points to 10. Still in favour of the Stormers. But the gap has slightly closed more, and Ben Loader's on the field. We're seeing Diamani make his way out there. Ben Jason Dixon taken off earlier on for him. We're seeing Dion Faury make way. There's a lot of changes that the Stormers have already made. La Rochelle trying to make theirs as late as possible. Although now they are starting to roll on that bench. Looks like Jonathan Dante. His day done, though. He is just walking back to the halfway line. Stormers playing like they are defeated. Says Rugby. Is the win still a factor? I believe it is. Maybe not quite as strong as it was earlier on in the game, but it is still a bit of a factor. It's just more that La Rochelle have to win with them in this half rather than against them. But Marnie Libok kicking it high from the halfway line to get us back underway. Lavania Bortia trying to break through. Diamani looks like he's not very well at the moment, and they are stopping this game. This is another injury for the Stormers. Looks like he was completely knocked out in that breakdown. Unfortunately, I think it was almost his teammate who came flying in with the headbutt that got him. Stormers need to chop tackle these big men like Leinster did. Says Rugby, and Stormers catch a wake up. Oh, why do you fall asleep? You have not won yet, says Stefan. But this is a big hit. I just mentioned about how Diamani was on the field for the Stormers. I don't think he's going to be on the field for very long. He made that tackle on Lavania Bortia. And yep, the headbutt from his teammate there, Salman Moura. He didn't feel it, but Diamani certainly did. And he will not be returning in this game. The good news for them at this point, I guess, is the fact that they hadn't made the sub of Audrey Smith. So he will now make his way on. But yeah, just flying in Salman Moura. It didn't even look like that huge of a connection. But it just shows you, if you get clipped in the right spot on the jaw, you go to sleep. And why the Bok Physio woman all smoke shows. Says Rugby, and also we have got there. Cop got a soft hit. Says Barry, and ouch, says Jimbo. But yeah, it's worse when it's friendly fire, isn't it? You can't even get a penalty for it. Instead, you get a concussion. This is crazy to think, though, that the Stormers, in 2 weeks' time, may come into a game without Dion Faury, without Diamani, and without Ben Jason Dixon. Like I said, Audrey Smith, he will make his way on. He looks a little bit confused. I think he's actually going to have to play in this loose forward trio now for the Stormers, which is the last thing that he would have been anticipating at this point of the match. And Stormers won't have a team at this rate. La Rochelle are bullying them. So he has a 1-2-3 MS, although to be fair, Diamani got bullied by Moura, his teammate, who gave him the flying headbutt. They are just showing here so far the Bulls are through. The Harlequins are through. The winner of this game will go on to face the winner of Leinster versus Leicester. And of course, the Bulls will be facing the winner of Northampton versus Munster. That is taking place tomorrow night. And big time, they are taking them off the field one by one. Says Rugby. I should mention as well, the Rugby Sevens, we are taking place tomorrow. My stream froze on her. And it was the first time I wasn't pissed. Says Volition and get Jake White there. They will buy more players. Says Barry. Yeah, a few playoff games around the corner. While we have got this stoppage, we can go through it, ladies and gents. The games that we are covering on the channel tomorrow, the first of which will be the matchup taking place between Samoa and Argentina. They'll be kicking off at 3:40 p.m. New Zealand time. Then after that, the next game that we are doing will be the men's semi-finals, Ireland versus France at 5:40, followed by Australia versus New Zealand at 6:06, and then the big one, it's in some people's eyes anyway, South Africa versus Fiji for 5th place. It's the equivalent of a final. And those two sides going head-to-head at 7 p.m. or 8 a.m. Or actually, we've had daylight savings. Can someone in South Africa please let me know what the time is for you now? Do let me know. But what a Kalant now has got chance to continue in this match due to the lack of players that they can actually bring back out. I thought maybe in an ideal scenario they were either going to replace one of the wingers if they were fresh, and then you could also look at putting Ben Loader in the centres. Yeah, just showing some of the highlights. 5:30. It's 5:30 in South Africa. Oh. Okay, so we are now 2 hours, we are now 10 hours ahead of you guys in South Africa. Have you had daylight savings yet? Or do you have daylight savings in South Africa? Out of curiosity. Storm blowing in Ireland. I don't rule out Ford being the guy who uses it best. I was covering the Leinster game later, says Rugby. I wanted to, but unfortunately due to us being sick, I don't think my voice is going to last for that one. No, says Stretch. Okay, so now 10 hours difference between South Africa and New Zealand. I'll have to try and remember that. And South Africa doesn't, says 123MS, and no, just load shedding. Says Barry there as well. Feel better, pal, says Rugby. Yeah, hopefully by next weekend it will be completely cleared and we will be good to go for another weekend of rugby. Although next weekend it's only Super Rugby, so perhaps we could do like some sort of weekend live stream where we just talk about all the rugby that's been happening. That one's gone into touch. Good clearing kick from Hastoy. He got COVID. Says Rugby, I cannot confirm nor deny. But I have been very sick. Now this ball is going to be thrown in. Tackles made so far. Ruben van Heeren leading with 12. Harris has had 11. Morat's had 10. And then Kurt Barlow, the only man for La Rochelle on that list of 5. Rest up, mate. There's a Rugby there as well. But back across. Herschel Yankees rush defence there. Doesn't work out. Dan Duplessis manages to get around that tackle of Lavani Botia. Now going for the kick behind from Herschel Yankees. It will not be a 50-22, but it will put the La Rochelle side back inside of their own 22 again. Starting to play that territory game, and at the end of the day, they are still ahead by 6. So a penalty 1 inside of La Rochelle's 22 would more than likely give them a lead of more than a converted try if they take those 3 points. Now getting ready to throw this one in. Are you have rugby-itis? Says a Jimbo. And as they come on the Stormers and Leinster is home, it's a tough ask for the Stormers. Now Gregory Aldrit. Run forward, tackled by Ivan Ruiz. Matthew Carley saying there were certain players getting pinned in there, and La Rochelle are actually going to end up with this scrum feed here. So they will look to get themselves the penalty now. And Leinster is home. It's tough ask for the Stormers, says 123MS. Yeah, whereas if they play in South Africa, going up against the Leicester Tigers, like, you know, that's a different story. I think that the Stormers would back themselves to make it through to the semis. We can all get together and trash the league. Get Tony on, says Fleshin. Could be an idea just to chuck Tony on the channel for a bit of a rugby catch-up. Although it might end up hostile. At the end, you need some South African sun, says Reniard. There, it's also the lighting, to be fair. Like, if not going to do it now, of course, but every once in a while, if I'm in the right place, I go a lot less pale. Like, that's not as white as it looks, but my lighting, because I've got 2 white lights, makes me look like I'm a vampire. And I stake my entire reputation. La Rochelle will not get back into this game, says Nate Dog. Now Bryce Doolan from inside of the 22 is able to kick this one downfield, and it has rolled into touch. Stormers decide against taking it quickly. It's going to be another line out. That's the thing. Both of these sides started with the quick pace. And they wanted to take those quick throws. They wanted to take the quick taps. Now we've got more to that methodical stage. Oh, the match Andre Hugo Fenta about to throw this one in. Of course, like I mentioned, he was the winning try scorer for the Stormers in their last minute victory over La Rochelle. Both sides are gassed out. Says Rugby, and I think that is why we're seeing a bit more kicking as well. Malhara dominant, says Jimbo. Yeah, they were getting forced backwards there. And that scrum, but Joel Scalavi now making his way on. Well, internet rep, says a Nate Dog. Currently, in terms of the odds, La Rochelle, they're not actually that big of an underdog. They're $2.80 underdogs in this game. But that might be because they're close to getting themselves a counter try after a mistake at line-out time from the Stormers. Dante goes on the outside to Suteni, sells the dummy, gets back to his feet as he wasn't out, and Damien Valimza manages to wrestle him down. And that's a big rep. Says Rugby and also Twilight Time. Says Outlaw. To be fair, if I lived in South Africa, I'd probably get quite a bit of sun. Mainly because I'm up during the night in New Zealand. Is this live? Says Obi, it certainly is. Currently 59 minutes through. Oh, Morut's injured now. Morut's been knocked unconscious too. I love to watch Tony defend his anti-scrum stance live against a load of South Africans. Says Legend. So you've obviously watched the podcast, I guess, in that regard. And here's the build. Seconds to destroy and leave Irish alone. New Zealand has a tropical climate. But doesn't get it out enough because he's entertaining us. So here's 1, 2, 3 MS. But yeah, unfortunately, Salman Moura is now the player who has been knocked out. They're dropping like flies, and this is an ugly one. At the moment, ladies and gents, it seems like there's going to be no players left. I don't actually know who the next option is for the Stormers to be able to bring onto the field. Getting physical at last. Says Jimbo. And Will Skelton has to be the funniest rugby player. He's completely minced people and then taps them like, sorry mate, after they're lying on the ground. And Moura is always getting injured. Although to be fair, he's not the only one. That's about the 5th injury for the Stormers in this game. We've already seen the injuries of Ben Jason Dixon, Dion Foree, Lillian Zas, Diamani, and now Moura added to that list. The retirement men's in the house. Let's go get you 3 figures on me figures, says Blues Nate. And now starting to look a little bit concerned as the Stormers bench. Right, I'm fine, says Moura, I think I just heard. But I think that's he's fine to walk rather than fine to actually continue in this game. But this now looks like... Who was that going to be? That was going to be Leon Lyons to make his way onto the field as a lock. And how many are injured now? 5. And this one, and I did enjoy it, says Fleshin. That's good news. Like, I liked the podcast. It was a little bit different to what we normally ended up doing, but we were just kind of talking rubbish for 50 or so minutes and just having fun while doing it. We talked a lot about golf, which was fine. And he ain't coming back, says Jimbo. That's crazy how many Stormers players La Rochelle have injured. Says Rugby. The Young Guns in the house move. Says a Blues Nate. But now it's going to be another scrum. This time, I believe, in favour of the Stormers. They're going to try and get him back after an HIA, but I don't see him passing that test. And it looks like actually Joseph Dweber is now onto the field for Salman Moura. So they've got Dweber as well as Andre Hugo Fenta, who is now playing as a loose forward. In fact, I think he's playing as a lock in this one. No, he's playing as a loose forward. That actually kind of works out in terms of the injuries that they've had. Kind of evens everything. If you're not doing the Leinster game, are you at least going to watch it? I'm going to watch the replay tomorrow of that contest. Sadly, it's on at 7 a.m. New Zealand time, and our first live stream's on relatively early tomorrow too. We had a Kerr Barlow. Goes out wide to Jack Noel. If La Rochelle score now, they will actually take the lead in this contest, which, to be honest, doesn't look that far away now. One moment, I'm about to sneeze. And we are good. I yelled that as well, so I apologise if that was loud. To where to Kerr Barlow. Now looking to go away to the left-hand side here. They're asking for the advantage, and they've got it. And bless you, there's Birds Ablaze. But the Stormers may actually end up with a man in the bin now. Advantage for La Rochelle. Joel Scalavi trying to boost his way just that little bit further towards the try line. Will Skelton has the pick and go too. Momentum is shifting big time in this contest. I don't know why I'm up this late. There's Pads Ablaze. Well, it's not as late as it could have been, fun fact, because daylight saving. Now 3 metres out. They'll go back for the penalty. 21. That is against Marcel Tennyson. I think he's getting yellow carded, is he? The referee's saying 21 3 times. He's coming over. He's getting a yellow card now. This has gone from bad to worse for the Stormers. Not only have they got 5 injuries, but now they've got... Oh, okay. Matthew Carley has just said the next one will also be a yellow card. This game's changing. The decks on the ship of my ego are creaking, says Nate Dog, and it's over for the Stormers now with that yellow, says Rugby. And there are some big humans on this pitch, says Fleshin. And none bigger than the big man Will Skelton out there on the field at the moment, enforcing that physicality. La Rochelle are going to go for the quick tap here. Wait for the whistle. There's the comment there, Matthew Carley, quick tap taken. And now just throwing himself at the line, the replacement hooker. And Nate, you didn't want Leinster playing La Rochelle in the next round. It's okay, I forgive you. See, here's a Rugby, but now only 1 metre out from the line. He tried to stretch out, and he gets there. They may check this for a knock-on, but if it's not one, La Rochelle have just almost taken the lead in this game. Had to get my drink bottle. It was out of reach, unfortunately. They're pulling random folks out of the stands soon. Says Gus and Billy offside and gets a yellow. Says Justin, the only reason for it is because of the repeat infringements from the Stormers. Matthew Carley did say earlier on, next penalty in front of your try line, you are going to the bin. So even though it was only a marginal one, it was still the next penalty in a row. My man Aldrit, and back from golf and just jumped in. How's it all? Bloody hell, looks grim for the Stormers. And off to bed soon to watch WrestleMania 40 in the morning. Says the Blues, Nate. That kick has gone over. La Rochelle now lead 17 points to 16. If La Rochelle get a 3-pointer, then we get exactly into the position that we were with the chance of the Stormers winning it by 1 point at the end of this game. But how much of an impact is that lack of players on the field going to have with the yellow card still in play, 17 and a half minutes remaining? A lot seems to be going against the Stormers here. And 18 minutes left to say La Rochelle score another 2 tries. Like they're saying, that list of players for the Stormers who are not on the field is just too long. But they won't give up. These guys off the bench, they have to work as hard as they ever have now to try and get through. We have got there, I'll never forget that triple threat match between HHH, Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit at WrestleMania. Says Justin, what WrestleMania was that? WrestleMania 18? No, that might have been wrong. What date was it? One of the earlier WrestleManias, wasn't it? You're right, Irish La Rochelle is back. Says Outlaw. They've come back well, and that's the thing. You can never discount them, and you can never count them out of a game, because as soon as you do, that is when they're normally at their most dangerous. But Dan Duplessis tackled on the halfway line. Ball available there for Herschel Yankees. Try now would get the Stormers back in the lead. Even a 3-pointer would do the same. Off to the left, Marty Lebok going for the chip in behind, but it doesn't work out. Nicely taken by Bryce Doolan. Kicks it in behind. Sits up for Marty Lebok. It's all part of the Stormers' plan. Says Nate Dogg, you think they're doing exactly what they did last time? Getting it very close and then beating him in the last moment. Honestly, makes for better entertainment at the Leinster versus La Rochelle rematch. Says Rugby. That is, of course, if Leinster go through. You never know. Be upsets. Franz Malharba tackled hard there by Jonathan Dante. He's been told to get out of it. And he has listened to the referee, Manny Lebok. Gives it across to Dan Duplessis. Gets the offload away to Hudsonberg. Flick out the back door for Damien Valimza. He will score the try for the Stormers. And they are back in the game now, ladies and gentlemen. Gets a massive hug from Herschel Yankees. You got to be careful hugging him, because if you give him a shoulder to the head, he's going to have to go off too. And that will be 6 injuries for this game, but they're back into it now, the Stormers. They were behind for a moment. They didn't like that, so then they just got back into it and scored the try. He was one of my picks as well, Damien Valimza. I said him and Ivan Ruiz, the two who I felt had a really good chance of being able to score themselves a try in this contest. A great offload from Hudson-Berg. Got it out the back door and opened up the chance for Damien. Hang on. Hang on. They want to check two things. They want to check if there's a knock-on from the Stormers. Was Damien Willem's foot in touch? On field as a try, but they've got two things to check now. They're just going upstairs, good Stormers. Says Devon, what happened to? No way, says Aaron. There is a chance that he was on the touchline. That'll be a big moment. And we'll go down to the wire now, says Outlaw. We're going to see it here. Is there a knock-on in the breakdown? Yes. There's also a knock-on from Herschel Yankees, and if that wasn't enough, I think his foot was in touch. So that's going to be... Okay. Fair play there to Matthew Carley. He knew the rules exactly. He asked, was that within two phases? Because if it wasn't, he wouldn't have been able to use that as an overturning decision due to the TMO only being able to go back two phases with the new ruling. No try, says Jimbo. That will now make the score back to 16 points to 17. They almost had it there, Damien Willemse. But a couple more changes being made now for La Rochelle. They have the fresher bench. And also, I'm not doing these heart-wrenching games anymore. Our South African teams must stop this. Says Bad Panda. And Willemse wasn't touched too, says Jimbo. Yeah, his foot was very close to the touchline, so that was probably the second thing that they wanted to check. And they might galvanise the Stormers. Says Rugby in there, and Gina's got the surprise face in the chat. I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back with the Champions Cup, of course, when it comes around again. Also, alongside that, we've got the URC in 2 weeks' time, the Sevens tomorrow that we are covering, which includes the Blitz box in their game up against the Fijians. That will be taking place at 5 a.m. That's a bit brutal, isn't it? But it's at 5 a.m. South African time. So if you're up at that hour and you want to watch a bit of Rugby Sevens, be sure to pop in. That is a knock-on from Gregory Alderett, but they're going back for the original scrum penalty in favour of La Rochelle. And the handling errors are a serious headache. And the South African team, says Justin, yeah, still with 14 minutes to go. Something that they did up against Ulster. Every opportunity that they had near the end of that game, they just kept on dropping possession. And first time Stormers did their thing. They score more of that, please, says Jimbo there. And final score will be 21-20, says Julian Moses. Like they say, an easy penalty for Matthew Carley to be able to award there. La Rochelle, if they get themselves a converted try, that would, well, it wouldn't secure the game because we know how quickly the Stormers could score, but it would help them big time in this contest. A ball about to be fed in. Thrown in nicely. Taken there. Hamish, your scoreboard is wrong, says Rugby. One moment. Hopefully it corrects itself soon. It still thinks that the Stormers scored that one. But, yeah, it's about to have to change again. As the Stormers are back in possession and another penalty goes the way of La Rochelle. Hamish, do you need to change the score, says Nate Dog. Hopefully it does it itself. It is an automated scoreboard. Kiri Barlow is a wizard, says Sully there. Right, now the decision for La Rochelle. If they go for the corner, they can cement themselves the win, or at least close to it. If they go for the three, that takes away the Stormers' chance of getting themselves a three-pointer. And they will kick this one for the corner again. Here come La Rochelle, says Rugby. We've also got to remember they've got a man advantage here. And just to add something on top, they've also got a few out-of-position Stormers in front of them. Now looking for this rolling maul, getting pushed towards the touch line. They've got a new advantage. This might be another yellow card here for the Stormers. Ronan O'Gara brings the bench on, backline fresher, and can they defend? Says Eric. Now short ball, Cholster Levy. He was almost held up by Emo Ruiz, but it is the try for La Rochelle. The scoreboard doesn't want to take back that Stormers try, but it's going to have to eventually. And either way, La Rochelle now lead by 6 and with a kick to come, that could put them outside of that conversion window. A little bit of poetry there for Joel Scalavi, actually the man who got yellow carded at the end of the last game that cost La Rochelle in the group stage, now scores himself that try. We are alright. My nose is very blocked at the moment from being sick, which is not ideal, but we've only got 11 minutes to go. Like I said, no matter how sick we were, though, we were going to be covering this game. It's going to hit me like a truck tomorrow, I would say. But now Hastoy to give them the lead of 8. And to give them a very good shot of being able to win here. Hastoy has missed it. 6 points difference now. The scoreboard's lying. It's going to have to take back the Stormers try soon. But La Rochelle, there is potential once again for them to lose by 1 point here. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's that possibility. Is Diamani playing? He was till he got knocked out, and now he's not on the field. Also not on the field, Salman Moura, Dion Forey, Ben Jason Dixon, Lillian Zas. That is the injury list for the Stormers throughout this one game. Dylan Lades claims the ball there for La Rochelle. Now Tawera Kerbalo goes back across to the try scorer, Joel Scalavi, and they would have loved to get that conversion over. La Rochelle, pure violence, says Rugby, and these guys need to wake up now, says Justin. 10 minutes remaining. Now it's going to be Huarakalent getting put backwards at the moment. And 23-22, says Julian. Could be a possibility. Big run there from Ivan Ruiz. Trying to get that turnover. The ball is still there for the Stormers. They pass it out wide. Little mistake being made, but they still have it in their hands, and that is the main thing. What's the real score? The real score is 16 points to 22 in favour of La Rochelle. So, unfortunately, the scoreboard is a little bit broken. It is an automated one from online. Hopefully, they take back that Stormers try, but either way, La Rochelle are in the box seat at the moment. And big run forward from Dylan Lades. Look for the offload. It's going to be knocked on, though. And now, in fact, it was kicked through by Gregory Aldrich, so no knock-on involved. Mani Libok now back across to the left-hand side. This is for the sake of South African sides being a part of this Champions Cup. There's only one at the moment, that being the Vodacom Bulls. Skip pass out wide to Ben Loader. And crippled the pack. I get stuck in Stormers. Real score is 16 points to 22. It certainly is. So 6 points difference in favour of La Rochelle with 8 minutes remaining on the clock. Massive run there. Aldrich just got throat punched from... It's going to be the penalty there. Do they check this? Was that a forearm from Joseph Dweber? Because if it was, he might find himself going to the bin as well. Thank you, dudes. There's Outlaw, and just as one player returns and Marcel Tennyson, we may see another sent on his way. Players down from that carry. Says Matthew Carley. I think he just wants to check it to make sure it's all right. Exeter and Bath is close as well. Currently in that game, it is 21-15 in favour of Exeter. Here we go. Oh no, just put the hand in his mouth pretty much and on the neck. I don't think there's anything really in that. Top 14 rugby is most physical league. These La Rochelle are used to a proper mill up every week, unlike Leinster and the Stormers, says Rugby. Right, no foul play is the call. The TMO has looked, and it's going to be fine. This is going to be an interesting end to that game. 18 offside, so that is against Joel Scalavi. So many retirements in the top 14 from New Zealand and Aussie, says Blues Nate. And not foul play, says Jimbo there. Yeah, it was completely legal. Now Mani Libok. Kick this one towards the touchline. They have got 8 minutes remaining on the clock here for the Stormers. That's a good point. Says Affliction. Ball's now being put into touch. 30 metres out from La Rochelle's line. Yeah, Oscar Lovey just going straight in the side. Easy penalty to give him. Line out throw now for Joseph Dueba. It's claimed by the Stormers. Dan Duplessis has his ankles taken out from underneath him. Penalty goes the way of the Stormers. They'll be able to kick this one towards the touchline again. And all right, I'm going to go to sleep. Good night, all. Get well soon, Amy. Look after yourself, but thank you for your streams you've done today, says Beds Ablaze. So yeah, we might see you tomorrow for the next live stream that we are doing. Come on, Stormers, one more effect, or one more effort, says a Jimbo there. And 23-22, here we go. Trust me, here we go. Says Red Howe and Stormers to leave it to the last 10 seconds. That's pretty much what they did in the last game between these two sides as well. There was a last-minute yellow card, and then from there, the Stormers were able to get themselves that last-minute try of Andre Hugo Fenta. Now they need another straight line-out throw from Joseph Dueba. The score is still wrong, though. It is currently sitting 22 points to 16. Chance here. Andre Hugo Fenta moves within 5 metres. Paul Davet across to Ivan Ruiz. Spinning hard and almost driving himself over the try line. 3 metres out. Counter ruck coming from La Rochelle, and they win the penalty. No one on the wrong side, they've said, and that is the big win and a big bit of work from that man, Johan Tanga. I mentioned about him earlier on what kind of impact he can have, and that's one of the most important turnovers La Rochelle are going to have in this game. Turnovers, here's Rugby there, and counter ruck from Al. Says a Jimbo there as well. We're going to hit that like button for this great man who keeps streaming even when he is sick. That will mean a lot. And also hit that sub button too, so you can come back and watch more great streams. Says Beds Ablaze. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back tomorrow with some more sevens. South Africa in action, Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, Argentina, France. You name it, we are covering their games. 2 penalties gives a draw, then what? Then I believe it would go to golden point time, similar to what we saw last year or the year prior between Toulouse and I think it was Munster. Your scoreline is wrong, I know. And sadly, I can't change it because it's an online scoreboard. So I just have to wait and hope that it corrects itself. It is not, or is it not 22-16? It is. But yeah, sadly, the scoreboard does not have the right score. And I am your team, thank you. Says Orion, all these smoke shows in the crowd. Makes me want to fly to South Africa and watch some rugby. Says Rugby there. Currently, Kerr-Barlow going to be rolling this ball back now, hitting 5 minutes remaining on the clock now. It's going to be put high. Chasing after this one. La Rochelle. Hudson-Berg with the offer. He's been one of the X-Factor players, and I feel like he has to get man of the match if the Stormers finish the job. Out wide, Damien Valimza this time. Charging forward, missed tackle, he's dragged down 2 metres from the line, and La Rochelle over the ball. Dylan Lades gives away the penalty. That will be a yellow card. This is going to be a repeat of what we saw last time these two sides played. Thank you for the good stuff. Hope your throat gets better, says Brian, but it's a yellow card for La Rochelle. There's a chance here for the Stormers. Clearly put your hands on the floor is the comment from Matthew Carley. This is deja vu for the French. And trying to know, but that was a brilliant tackle. Dylan Lades is disappointed. His hands were down and hectic. And Damien saves the day again. Says 1-2-3 MS. But the penalty now 5 metres out. I think that they'll go for the... Do they go for the scrum or do they kick for the corner? I think they'll kick for the corner. But great work from Hudson-Berg to create that attacking opportunity. Then Dan Duplessis with a nice pass out wide to Damien Valimza, who made sure he was in the field of play this time. Great effort from Tawera Kerr-Barlow to be able to stop him. And then, yeah, their hands were down. And great break is that encroaching gunfire here. And also only second time Stormers go outside and again get to the line, says Jimbo. It is going to be a 5 metre scrum they've decided to opt for. This is a big moment in this game, ladies and gentlemen. 4 minutes remaining. Can the Stormers pull it off? They are down by 6, not 1, which is why they haven't taken on the 3 points For anyone who is just now tuning in, the scoreboard is wrong. Damien should have finished that. Says Rugby, I think he gave it a fair crack. Just lost his footing. Tawia Kurbalo put absolutely every ounce of his tackle attempt into the midsection. He should have just run to the line, cutting inside. He wanted to get the 7 points, and it may come back to backfire for them. But at the same time, I think it was going to be an impossible kick from that touchline. So they still would have been down by a certain margin. So I think that they will actually go to the right-hand side here if they win the scrum. Will they face Leicester or Leinster in the quarterfinals? That is a good question. If Leinster win that game... Yeah, if Leinster win that game, they will play them at the Aviva. If the Tigers win that game, they will play them in South Africa. But that is, of course, if they get themselves one more try. But there is potential for the Stormers to yet again win this game by 1 point. 16 points to 22. The scoreboard is wrong. 16 points on the board for the Stormers. They need a converted try to get themselves the victory. They've got a 5-metre scrum to try and do it. Not much left on the clock now. Says Rugby there. Looks like the coverage is starting to play up a little bit here in New Zealand as well. Someone stood on a wire that they weren't supposed to. Yeah, very limited time left on the clock here. And Tigers will be at Welford Road. Cheers for the commentary. Says Thomas in there. Now going off the back, Evan Ruiz. Oh. But a push and shove here. The last thing they want to do is get themselves in trouble, but they did have the penalty advantage there, the Stormers. Open try line, but decides to try step, says Justin. Well, that's the thing. If he got into the end goal area, he then could have run it around. And I don't think he thought about that part, Damien Willemse. He was more focused on trying to get it right between the sticks. Okay. The loose head collapsing was the penalty. So the Stormers have got themselves another penalty. They are going to go for the scrum again. If they win here, will it be a home in the quarterfinal again? Says CK, depends on whether or not it will be Leinster or Leicester who they face. If it's Leinster, then they'll be in Ireland. If it's Leicester, then they'll be in South Africa. Come on, the Stormers. Says Rugby, but 2 minutes remaining on the clock now here. Great game of fairness, says Rugby. It's been an entertaining one from start to finish. Yes, there's been a lot of errors as you score right. It is not. Unfortunately, it's an online scoreboard and it won't take that try that was disallowed away from the Stormers. It is 16 points to 22. So they need a converted try. Another scrum reset. Time is off again. 1 minute 50 on the clock now. And these are the kind of moments that either make or break a side. La Rochelle, they have the benefit of the scoreboard in their favour by 6. Possibly penalty try, says John. If it keeps on happening this way with the scrums going down, maybe it could be an option. Will Mani kick the conversion? He did last time. We've got to remember they managed to score themselves the try in the 78th minute with Andre Hugo Fenta, and then Mani Libok slotted it over. It wasn't as windy as it is today though. As the Stormers next URC game in South Africa, or abroad it is in South Africa, up against the Ospreys, followed by a game up against Leinster, who could be their opposition in the Champions Cup if they get themselves a win. This scrum is ugly at the moment. Neither side look like they're fully committing. I think La Rochelle are using it as a time-wasting tactic. La Rochelle making the scrum as difficult as possible. Yeah, and I think the Stormers know that. They know that they're trying to make this as scrappy as possible to use up as many seconds on the clock as they physically can. Okay, Matthew Carley has just said he will not guess. He will award someone a penalty here. In other words, it could be against La Rochelle. It could be against the Stormers. But the Stormers, I feel like they have been very close to getting that penalty. Now they're about to feed that ball in again with Paul Davet. 90 seconds left on the clock remaining. The Stormers are down by 6. Not by 1 like the scoreboard will not change. It keeps on keeping it there. He can't outscrap a Stormer. Says, a cool story, bro. And this game down to the wire. Gotta love knockout rugby. So Leicester is the preferred option. Definitely for the Stormers, they would be, yes. The ball is in. It's a strong scrum. They've been told to use it. Paul de Vet, that was close to a knock-on at the back. Passed out wide. Held on to from ROCHELLE, but he's trying to make it easier. Great hands from Hudson-Berg, who for me has been man of the match for the Stormers if they go on and win this game. Ihaya West having to make the tackle there. Marnie Lebok fires it back across to Damien Valimza. It's only the big boys in the middle, but Valimza's run straight at them. Now Paul de Vet swats it across to Evan Ruiz. 10 metres out. Paul de Vet goes back across. Cross kick from Marnie Lebok, taken by Hudson-Berg, and they score with 35 seconds remaining. The Stormers take the lead in the dying moments, or do they? They are now on 21 points to 22. Marnie Lebok, once again, will be expected to get this kick over. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to scroll up in the chat so that we don't get any spoilers. We're going to see this one. Hudson-Berg receives the cross kick. He's my man of the match. The way that he has been able to play throughout this game has been so important. But Marnie Lebok gets that cross kick going as just he knows how. And then runs it in a little bit further. Still not going to be the easier kick though for Marnie Lebok. We go back to only about maybe 8 months ago. Marnie Lebok, to win the game for the Stormers, needed the conversion in the final moment of the game, and he got it. Now, in the round of 16, a game that will knock out one of these two sides, they need Marnie Lebok to do it again, to step up, and it is harder than the last time. The pressure is on, the wind is blowing. Can he do it again? The crowd are nervous. No one's blinking in the stands. Hardly anyone's making a sound. This one to win the game from 33 metres out. He's kicked it high. And it's missed for Marnie Lebok. He's gone from hero to zero in just that moment. But he has put in a valiant effort throughout this game. La Rochelle will know that they've got through by the skin of their teeth. Marnie Lebok chose the wrong game to do it, and he did it in the round robin games rather than the playoff. Just gets it high and lets that breeze take it. We have got there, wait for it. And also nail biter, and also Stormers how much time is left. The game is now over, and Dan missed it. Says Rugby away wide, and poor man is going to get abused online. Now he is, because unfortunately that is the one thing that Springbok supporters target about Marnie Lebok is that kicking accuracy. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's been a little bit low, but what he does off the kicking tee, phenomenal. He got them back into this game. Same with Damien Valimza, same with Hudson-Berg, but with 1 point difference. This time it's La Rochelle who do get to raise their hands in Cape Town. And Nate, time to retire from the internet. I don't expect to see another comment from you ever. Says Arabia, what position was the kick from? So it was maybe about 32 metres out on the right-hand side of the field. So the breeze was kind of going, I believe it was right to left. So he almost, like as soon as he kicked it high, the breeze just took it. Without a breeze, I think that would have gone probably straight down the middle. And I know that that's easy to say now because the kick's missed, but I think it would have been very close. The penalties conceded 13 from the Stormers, 13 conceded turnovers from La Rochelle. And Leinster will make mincemeat of La Rochelle this time round. And thank you, Hamish. You're a solid boss, and the flu wins. Says Blues, Nate. So, of course, the next game that we have got is going to be taking place a little bit later on, ladies and gents. That will be the matchup taking place between the Samoans and Argentina in the sevens. We've also got some Blitzbox later on. Exeter win their game up against Barca. They were actually the underdogs in that contest, fun fact. And this time. And also we have got there, not sure, mate. La Rochelle are so physical. They can turn things around. You need Connors at 7 again. And the guy that scored the try didn't even attempt to run close to the poles. Says Troy Williams. I think he learned from Damien Valimza's mistake, which was going too close and trying to get too close. But, yeah, it's just one of those ones that, yes, you can look at that. But for me, he was the man of the match, Hudson-Berg for the Stormers, for what he was able to do throughout the rest of the game. You can look at missed other opportunities for the Stormers, like when they were 5 metres out and not quite able to convert. Best game I've seen in a while. Not the box fault, stupid winger being lazy. Says Ricardo Besta. I would also still disagree. Jonathan Dante was very close to him. And the last thing you want to do is drop that ball, seeing as you're so close to the end of the game. Like, the kick, whether it was 5 more metres in, still would have been a big challenge for Mani Libok. And I don't think that that can be the difference between these two sides. I think that the fact that they weren't able to keep to 15 men on the field, I think that the fact that they had 5 injuries made it very difficult for them. The game is dead. Money, says Ricardo. And there as well. So I'm assuming you're saying there's some corruption because the Stormers lost. But just before Ricardo, you said it was the winger's fault. So is he the one getting paid? Or just the rugby ball in general? And Bordeaux and Saracens up next. Says Jimbo. And La Rochelle was best. Says Outlaw. Yeah, they played the better second half. Stormers were up 13 points to 0 at half time. But from there, La Rochelle managed to fire back, and a repeated string of infringements from the Stormers heavily cost them in this game. And it's something that's been a concern over the last few games. And it didn't cost them too much there. They were able to pull off the last-minute victory up against Ulster. They almost pulled off the last-minute victory up against La Rochelle here. But just wasn't their day. Didn't get their job done. Hard like Stormers, says Nate Dogg and Aiton Nutter stopping the Kiwi lads. As STADE are arguably the richest team in the world. Not by, says Ricardo. And lets the game later. Will be another cracker, says Rugby. Yeah, I wish we were going to be able to cover that one on the channel. But the next game that we are covering on the channel will be the matchup between Samoa and Argentina for the Sevens. That is taking place at 3:30 p.m. New Zealand time tomorrow. I'm glad the Bulls made it. Says Outlaw. Big Will messed them up early. Got his 10 minutes break and carried the pack thereon. Says Eric. And also Stormers need to involve the limbs of more. Says Jimbo. And I'd agree to a certain extent. I think that they didn't really find him enough. And I think that the attack, like, it was good early on with Herschel Yankees, but there was something about that first kind of 20 or so minutes of the second half where it just wasn't quite working, wasn't quite gelling. And I think that was what was really hurting them. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We will be scheduling those Sevens live streams in the very near future. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next.